after hours and office hours though, John, right?
I don't panel that often.
All right, we're live. I'll see you on a few.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube, let's see what's in our From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks. We'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions. We'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We've got your back, no wreck. We've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in the fun, engaging way.
We've got your back, no rack. I have no idea what that means. Hey, everyone. It's the Zoom Test Kitchen. Holy moly. Do we have some cool stuff to look at today? Let's make some quick rounds, say hello, especially to my friend Mike Latta. How you doing, Mike?
Doing good, Mr. Paskin. Oh,
Again, with the streaming wasn't working, but then we got it to work. Somehow it deleted the stream. So if you're searching around for us on YouTube, I apologize for that. But thank you, Mike, for being over there on YouTube and keeping
got
everyone with us.
yeah,
Absolutely.
everybody's finding the new link, and I've let everybody know this is the one we hope will last.
God save the Queen. Prater
That's it.
Sergeant, how you doing, sir? He sounds fantastic because he's silent. He's like doing Buddhist meditation, I think.
That is true. It's nice down here though. It's a little warm down here in Yorktown, Texas. So it's great to be inside doing something on Zoom. It
Yeah.
is 99 at 100 Fahrenheit, feels like 112.
I'm with you. South Florida ain't any better. Good to have you here.
We're a little less humid, I think.
A little less. Robert Sababity. Hey, my friend.
You guys, I decided to come in today.
Oh, you just had a green blip. We just got a green blip from you.
You didn't hear anything, or
No, just a green blip.
okay?
I don't know.
And we saw it on YouTube too.
Yeah. Good to
Don't
see
know
you,
what that
Robert.
was.
How are you?
Good. Surviving, making progress. Thank you.
Good. Thank God. Glad to see you. Hello, Julie.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Thank you too.
And good to see
Mm.
Erm also. Hello, Erm.
Hello, David. Hello, everybody. Good to be back here on the inside after
Yeah, we
a
missed
while.
you a couple weeks. Yeah, good to
Thank
see you
you.
again.
Summer's
Good to see you.
fun. Thanks.
I'm going to skip the next person in my grid and say hello to Andy Lehman. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going? I did my homework since last week. I was
I
testing.
was just going to ask, and we're going to get some exciting updates. Yeah,
Yeah, you just let me know when you want me to
you
talk
got
about
it.
it, and I'll be happy to do it.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. Hello,
Mhm.
Tamra.
Hello. I came for
How
the
are you?
updates because
Came for
Andy
the
said he was
updates.
gonna. He said he was gonna do his update. I'm like, I'm coming.
We
I'm
have
in.
we have hopefully we have a third guest, not only Andy and
We have so many guests. I
and
love
Norm, but
it.
we have a third guest, yeah. And of course we have Frank. And I mean, you really don't need much more in this life
No, that's all you
than
need.
Frank. Yeah, that's all you need.
All right.
Hello, sir. Good
Hello.
to see you.
You too. Thanks.
And let's see who else. Ray Harwood just jumped in. Hello, Ray. Good to see you. He's getting himself set up over there. And who did I miss? Did I miss anyone? I missed the man of the hour, Core Video with John Wallace. How are you, John?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited you're here. You know, we spend so much time talking about Ecamm because it has the Zoom integration, and Mimo Live because there's a Zoom integration, and vMix because and now you have made that possible, that same or similar integration possible in OBS. And I'm so excited to have you kind of walk us through Core Video, what it does, who it's for, and teach us all about it. So take it away.
All right. Yeah, so I love all these programs that have come out with the Zoom integration and larger like vMix and VizRT. They're all bringing these Zoom sources in. But what I found is it's quite expensive to kind of get off the ground, monthly cost to maintain it, to do it. And I have a lot of friends in the creator space where they're just doing Discord calls and like capturing the screen and kind of blocking it out in OBS. And I thought, okay, there's got to be a way that we can just do this at a smaller scale and for a much cheaper cost, just the price of the Zoom license. And if you want the real pretty bandwidth, then you go ahead with like you start stepping into what really happens, right? So with enhanced media, you can do 60 FPS. So I brought all those same feature sets into OBS and just kind of had fun with it and kind of did my own version of tiles as well. So you can kind of build a dynamic gallery. You can choose who's in it or just have Zoom pick or the app pick who's in it, and it can animate in and out. And I can show that real quick.
Real quick before you do
Yeah.
that, just a question. So I know that in Ecamm Live, the integration, what they essentially did is they brought Zoom into Ecamm, and so you essentially host a meeting or join a meeting within the app itself. Is that what's happening with OBS, or is it working differently?
That's the same thing, and I can I'll
Okay.
show my screen here.
Great.
It doesn't look too crazy, I hope. You can see this is the OBS screen. You go to tools. It's where you find any OBS plugin that you would have in. You have the actual plugin settings. It has OSC server. It has a companion module that you can install via my GitHub. And you can choose if you want to have a specific audio offset, what do you want to happen if a Zoom crashes, and where you can actually log in. And you're logging into what is the Zoom SDK client using your account. So there's nothing I'm getting as far as your data goes. The account security and your password is all stored locally on your machine and encrypted with Windows. And then you can choose what hardware acceleration. So if you're on Windows machine with a NVIDIA card. You get the CUDA if you got the built-in graphics, and then you also working on a port for Apple. So our friends in the Mac space can also play with this on their boxes. But OBS changed a bunch of stuff recently, so I'm working on getting that updated, and I'll just support the latest version going out of there. From there, you can actually do the Zoom control, right? So this is where you would join a meeting. You would request the record permissions, the start engine, um, and this is like a little bit of the office hours flavor. So we don't always take like the active speaker right from Zoom. We have a release a threshold that goes to it. And so I built this for me, for like any shows that I'm running. Um, you can choose like a couple people not to be included. So if you had like a host and a reader, and then you wanted active speaker, so you could have all that in like a banter type setting, all that would be available. Then it wouldn't it wouldn't show up inside. So if I go to my active speaker right now, you can see I'm talking, which is going to go infinite, but David's the host. And because of that, he doesn't ever show up over here, which is nice to have. But you can see it's the full thing. You get diagnostics, so you can see what's kind of happening for each participant. So if anyone like is sending a stale frame, audio issues, if I'm requesting 1080p but they're not delivering it, you can see it here as well. Then I built also like an output manager.
Can you switch back to your desktop so we can see?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. There you go. And then I built an output manager, and this is where you can like map people. So you can build out a template and then just map the participants to these slots within the show. And then so you can kind of use the same template over again, even if it's different people joining your meeting. And then you can choose what resolution you're going to request from them, and you can actually see what's going on if people have video on or not have video on. There's lots of different things you can do, and a little bit of admin tools to say, hey, someone's only setting me 720, but try to get 1080 again. You can choose to click that button and then pull that there. So lots of cool things you can do with it on that front. And something else I'm working on, but it isn't working consistently yet, at least for 8 sources. I think it's just overwhelming for one PC to try to encode video, record the program feed, and then also record the 8 sources. Oh, because this is free, you could spin up like a cloud instance, install OBS, install this plugin, and then you can get ISO recordings out as well. And if you have a GPU, it will first choose the GPU if you're in the automatic mode. Then it can go to your Intel's iGPU, and then to your CPU for encoding, so you can get more than whatever available threads are available for encoding within your GPU. Typically on a consumer card, that's going to be 8 sources. So if you have 8 people in a room and you want to get ISOs plus you want program feed, you're going to end up extending past what your GPU can do. And then over here, you can see it's just the easy sources. And then I can show this dynamic gallery, which is fairly easy. Yeah, you can see everyone's in the meeting. You can choose who's in there, or again, you can just choose auto. I'm just going to grab anybody who has video on. And it kind of has a nice little feel of like animation as they come in and out. You can change the shape of what it looks like as well. You can choose a background source, so you can just have inside this background, this video, the typical one we see in office hours is just a VLC video source that I have. Then you can also change the shape of them. So depending on what your output is, what the look and feel you want, and then as well as, the one that everyone loves is corner radius. So it doesn't just have to be a square. Lots of feedback around that one. But yeah, it's a fairly simple app to use if you're comfortable with OBS. It really
John,
gets easier. Yep.
John, you're changing all of those simultaneously. Is that controller universal, or can you also change individual? Like if I wanted Tamara's camera smaller than the others.
Yeah, this one is just like tiles more, and I haven't used tiles on the Mac, but it's just a dynamic gallery.
Gotcha.
Once you get into other sources, so you could definitely do that, where you can choose this and change the shape of it, or I think it's shift, maybe it's control. One of these buttons you can, there you go. We can kind of get them off to one side, and then you can reshape how things look on the screen. Yeah, goes
Gotcha.
pretty quickly.
Your desktop again.
Yes, my screen. There you go. But yeah, that's the core of what this is. It's free, so you can just download it and take a look at it. I think it's great for probably smaller productions. It's also good for just ensuring that you can add it to a meeting. You could use the active speaker feature only, have it do your center cut for all of your shorts content, and you can just record that right away, or just get ISO feeds to edit later on as well. So I think it adds a lot of flexibility, and for workflows that you're already limited on, how many Macs you have. This is easy to spin up inside the cloud and run, and there's not that 70 to 150, $200 a month cost that it kind of takes to run these other programs. Especially if it's going to be a secondary thing and not the primary thing for your production. This is a nice to have that can really be a nice supplemental and just kind of add some additional things that you can use for a client or use for yourself when you're producing podcasts or conversations that you have online with your friends.
Can, where does the meeting live in your app? Like, is there a meeting interface where I could see
Yeah.
the other participants or?
Yep. So it runs the Zoom SDK.
Oh, I see.
Which,
Okay,
yep.
gotcha.
So I just have that off to the side. You
Gotcha.
can join audio, not join audio. That's how I'm pushing at least a version of his feedback in to this meeting. You can see
Gotcha.
core
Through
videos
the
joined. It
virtual
has his
camera.
camera on.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're like just coming as the host and you want people to see the program screen, it's really easy to do that as well.
And I'm sure the border colors and the background, and you showed the corner.
Yeah. You can
radius, but
change
all
those as
that is-
well.
yeah.
So it's fairly simple. You can see you can just choose
Oh,
what
there
color
you
you want for either one of them. If you want to be pink and have fun, if it's Wednesday, we wear pink. You can choose the glow. So if there's the inside and then the outside border, so you can kind of, I noticed it, I think on our Monday show, I'm like, oh, it has a little bit of a glow to it. So I added that as well. Because really what OBS isn't great at, and probably most production apps, I just wanted a little easier way to like have a couple people on screen and have it look nice. Because you go back to like this host act, this look here, it's going to be way different, and then you're going to have to build all the mortises and all this stuff. I wanted a way to just have an easy conversation with a couple people, and then you can kind of handle it from there.
Gotcha. Frank is asking, is it open source?
It is
And
open source. It's available on GitHub. Both actually all my projects that I'm working on currently are on my GitHub. You can go to corevideo.io if you want to check it out. You can submit a PR if you want to contribute. If you have any issues, feel free to use that form as well within GitHub. I've been working with a couple people off to the side, just taking some feedback in and making changes every time. I love Claude. I use Claude for most of this. I'm not a programmer. I'm more of a systems infrastructure guy. And obviously, I got to peek at the back end of what office hours looks like with running that hardware show. And so I just kind of wanted an easier way. So I would always offer them like, I can host your podcast, but it's like, oh, well, now I'm bound to a time box. Now, like I have to worry about your schedule, not just when these two other people want to have a conversation. So I just wanted to give a way for my friends to kind of build and do something. And it seems like it was something that, again, it was 2 months of my time in some evenings. But I learned a ton about programming and building and what it really takes to kind of get software out the door. So it was a fun experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think I deleted my own video source. So let me add that back in real quick. Yeah.
What other questions do folks have? Feel free to open your mic or raise your hand or pop it in the chat. You said that you have a companion plugin for this.
Yep.
Is
It
there
has
any?
OSC control. It has companion as well. So I don't have it submitted in the companion marketplace, but you can grab it from my GitHub, and then you can install it into yours.
Great. Go ahead, Robert.
John, I'm sort of in the gaming community, so I know how 10 million people are going to absolutely love you for this. Because OBS is their basic tool, their daily tool. So this is you are so spot on. That is really, really kind of you to think of them and to do all of this work. But I have a question. When you pull in the ISO sources into OBS, are you actually setting the volumes up individually for each of the ISO sources? Can you do that?
You mean for the recordings?
For the feeds themselves that are coming in, or are you taking the composite feed from Zoom?
Yeah, so I'm getting only the sources I want in from Zoom. So it's individual sources, individual frame rate, resolution, whatever the highest they can provide that's available at the reflector for me. Yeah, it's all individual. They all come in on their own IPC pipes, so there's no sort of buffering that can happen. So you're just kind of getting the raw Zoom video and audio feeds, and then I render them onto the canvas.
That was I was referring to, because if you're getting the audio in, then you can play with the audio, adjust the levels, and it's all doable at OBS level, which is absolutely amazing.
I'll cut to this real quick, and then back to my screen share. You can see down here, you can choose the audio, and then you could add filters on all these sources. I want to get it so you can have like a simple MIDI interface where you could use like a Behringer controller or another compatible controller, and then actually be able to kind of mix audio that way. It'd be interesting to see what comes with that. And then you can just grab these sources and overlay them underneath any of the other sources. So audio can be consistent across scenes. This is where like OBS isn't great for some of this, where like how they handle multi-scene audio. I know there's like nested scenes and a whole bunch of other stuff you can do. So I need to get more familiar with OBS, but I really just wanted to get this out, kind of share it, and then hopefully people can kind of iterate on the idea and figure out what else is needed.
Yeah, but when I do this in OBS, I usually duplicate the audio sources into every scene, so that keeps it consistent and matched. Yeah. When you change it in one place, it changes in all of them. So that's really handy.
That's kind of what I did, where I'll just make this 8 sources. That's why it looks crazy. I want to verify that I can see everybody, and then just make sure the audios are there, and then I can add that as underneath of any other source I want to have.
Beautiful.
Mike, there were a couple questions on YouTube. Do you want to throw those in?
You bet. So Tony Mobley within our call here, as well as on YouTube, and John Idelson are asking the important question for the half of the Zoom test kitchen community that are Mac users. So when's the Mac version coming?
I was working on it last night. I had a working copy a couple weeks ago, so I just listed my house for sale, and I have like a dumpster coming just to get rid of all the stuff we don't want to move with us. So give me the weekend, and then I'll start working on next week, and hopefully by this next weekend, or if I can pop in Zoom Test Kitchen even for a brief moment, I can just give an update on that.
Moving and
John,
macking at the same time. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk for real quick? Sorry, Mike. Can you talk just about the difference between like what it has to be different for Mac versus PC with regards to OBS?
There's not a significant difference. The difference is just how Mac handles the sources, and then packaging on a Mac is way different than a Windows machine. They're much more concerned about you having like a signed copy for everything before you can install anything. So I signed up for my developer account so I can follow all those rules and create a certified app and all that. So I did over the last week when I was working on just making OBS made a pretty big change in how they handle FFmpeg within their latest release in 32, and that's where I'm having a bunch of compatibility issues I'm trying to solve on the Mac side.
Sorry, Mike, you want to jump back in?
Yeah, no, I was curious too. Is the plugin, the actual OBS plugins in general, that much different on a Mac than a PC?
The core
don't think-
code doesn't change that much. It's just
Right.
what it's wrapped around in the OS limitations on either platform.
Right. So it's actually getting it into the proper section where OBS is sitting to make sure it gets into the plugin folder or mod or whatever situation that there's permissions and such, right?
Yep.
So
And then
Tlaloc,
like the SDK, like the Zoom SDK has to install as well. So that requires permissions, and then it's wrapped within my app, and yeah. So there's a couple steps there. You can technically take what I have and then use a compiler and compile it yourself within GitHub if you wanted to try that. So, and then it could be Linux compatible too.
and this
Right.
is OBS Tlaloc that he built this on. What other questions do we have? I have one more, but I'll save mine. Any other questions? Yeah, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, John, I don't know if you've realized this, but just showing the way you can adjust the frames on those video feeds live on OBS, that is so unique now. And that is one of the key selling points of Meld. So you're going to kill Meld when this becomes used by the gaming, and because
Well, so I've been talking to Joel, so I want to get this plugin into Meld. So
the other
I'm
way
just,
around. Okay.
yeah. So I desperately would like that because I have a bunch of friends who use that for their normal streams because they're bringing a bunch of different plugins now into the scene. So as soon as Joel gives me some sort of way to make an integration for it, I'll definitely work on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you just
But
quickly tell us what Meld is, Robert?
Meld's like an
Or-
OBS alternative. And then they build a whole bunch of apps that are plugins that are available for both OBS and for excuse me, and for their software. Like they just released, I think it was this week, so you can like draw on sources. I mean, you can even have the ability for other people to draw on your screen. So you could like, hey, donate this much money and I can sign my name on your screen. I'm sure, nothing would ever go bad with that, but streamers do stuff like that all day long. So they're willing to take the risk.
John, people are asking what version of OBS do I need to be running?
32 is what I think. I'm technically compatible with anything 30 and forward, but I'm running 32. 32.22 is what I'm currently running. But from what I can tell, 30 forward should be compatible.
Okay. That was for Tony, even though Tony's in both spots.
John, can you talk a little bit for people who don't know OBS? It sounds like you've used it quite a bit. Can you talk about what it's good at, what it's not good at, Mac versus PC, and just the app itself a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, OBS is it's a free open source broadcasting tool. It has the ability to do a lot of what the big boys kind of do, and they've been doing this for a very long time. Mac traditionally has been something of a struggle for them as a platform, but recently they've gone a long way to improving that, especially within the M series chips. It's much more stable. I know like Fenwick uses it all the time and has been a long time Mac user, so I think the gap there is definitely shrinked dramatically. The power that those M series chips and being able to take advantage of the native processing on them is really good. It's essentially it's just like think Wirecast, think Mimo Live, think Ecamm. It kind of plays with all those. It kind of punches above its weight class. It has like the Black Magic integration, so you can take sources in and push them out SDI. It's kind of like the I can't think of what that red little box that I have in my bag that can like it's just like convert anything, take anything. It can send NDI, it can receive NDI, it can put out SRT. It's just like a jack of all trades kind of tool. I mean, it's used by probably millions of people, maybe tens of millions of people are watching streams that are on OBS every day.
Yeah.
Most of what you're seeing on YouTube, Twitch, they're all coming out of a stream that's being encoded on someone's PC, that they're either playing the game on or they're pushing the video to the other stream where gaming is happening.
I think you're
So
thinking
it's-
of Decimator, John, aren't you?
Yeah, Decimator. Yeah, it's sort of the same type of tool. It can function in lots of different ways. Um, it's purpose built. It's open source. There's a huge community of different plugins. JJ is like a master. He's figured out a bunch of stuff. So if you're familiar with him, definitely reach out. He can help answer any deep questions. But there's like PTZ control you can also push. He has like a bunch of cameras connected, and he can PTZ control them all with inside of OBS. Like it's vibrant developer community, obsforum.com. You can see all the different like thousands of plugins people have built that you can kind of utilize and solve specific problems for people.
Amazing.
Mr. Harwood, go for it.
Mr. Harwood.
Hey there. John, I'm a basic Zoom user, a little more advanced than just basic, and I use vMix. But a lot of my colleagues in sort of that smaller event space just use PC or Mac and OBS. While I understand that the gaming community is really going to go for this, but those people who are in that low to middle range, they don't have ATEM cameras, they don't do any hybrid stuff. All they do is manage people's meetings and sessions within events and stuff like that. This is going to be really good for them because they're already accustomed to using OBS to form, scenes and so forth. And once they learn the power of what they'll be able to do with this, I think many of them will pick it up. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like other use cases come out that I didn't even envision for this. I think that, anybody who's producing an event and that they don't have any sort of hardware system, this is a great way to push in and just kind of level up what you're doing today. If you're doing a virtual event just directly within Zoom.
Nice.
And if I can just jump in there, Ray, I completely agree with you. That's what my experience is. And the thing I like about OBS, and I mentioned this to John, is that the majority of production people that I know will actually carry OBS in their toolkit. Most of them won't say they use it, but as soon as something goes wrong, that's the first tool they'll reach for to sort it out if it's a big problem. And I'm not talking about the physical problems. I'm talking about problems with other apps that they're using to manage. And the other thing that I enjoy about using OBS is that if I'm running tiles on a separate Mac Mini, I'll just throw OBS there to get tiles out. There's so many very, very small granular functions that I use OBS for. And because it's light, it is really, really easy to just throw onto something and use.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate you taking the time, and what amazing work. Like really fantastic. And definitely come back when you've got the Mac thing going.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And anyone who's checked out the website, just a little like kind of peek of what's to come. I am building a standalone app to replace OBS. So you can kind of manage audio better, full audio engine for each channel. The same dynamic gallery will be available within that as well, an ISO recorder, but it'll be built more so like ease, right? So I don't think OBS is great for the noob or the people doing like first, second time events if they've never used the software before. But this one I want to make super easy, where you just kind of step through several tabs, set a couple different flags to say who's my host, who's a guest, who should be in these scenes, just the easy scene builder. And then you can produce a really high quality event, automatic lower thirds, captioning as well. I just want to make sure that there's something for anybody to use for free, and then something to kind of hopefully change how people are doing events. And maybe I can make a small amount of money on the side for. So that's sort of the future that's coming. I showed it on After Hours a few weeks ago, like kind of last minute, just was asked for a live demo. So if you're interested in seeing it, you can check out that from a few weeks ago. And I'm happy to sit down and join a call and show anybody, or whenever it's ready to release, I can let you know, David, and we can go from there.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it. Our second special guest. Oh, wait, he disappeared. Josh, are you there? There he is.
There.
Josh, is it Bragg? I always forget about it. Yeah. Josh Bragg from the Zoomiverse is here. Hello, sir. How's it going?
What's up, Test Kitchen? Good to see everybody. John, that's so rad, man. What a powerful tool. Well done. And it's hat day here on the Test Kitchen. It's good.
What you got for us? I heard.
Yeah, I wanted to share something I just learned about Zoom slides yesterday. So I don't know how much. Have you guys talked about Zoom slides in here at all too much?
David built one a couple of weeks ago.
We've played.
Yeah. What I learned yesterday, and I'm not sure everybody knows this, is that there is a way. So I'm going to share, and when you share, you don't just share the browser, you actually share under the files in Zoom. So I'm going to present a deck. This was a Tech Talk deck I did a few weeks ago. So I'm sharing this deck with everyone here, right? But if I can slide this over, and I'm going to switch my view to eCam so we can see all of it here. Give me just 1 second. What I wanted to show is there is a full built-in presenter view as a part of this Zoom slides. And I didn't know about this until yesterday, but what I'm doing is I clicked share. Here, if I just click continue here, shared a file, grab my deck here, shared that with the audience, and it says present with private speaker notes, which is what I want. And I'll share the presentation. And now I'm in here where I have full contact control, including things like all of the slides in here, a clock, a timer I can turn on and off. I can even customize the overall look. Maybe I don't want to see next slide, or I do want to see next slide, but I have a built-in presenter desk now built in as a part of my event. So I think that's really cool.
Are there speaker notes? Oh, there are.
There are. Yeah. And yeah. So speaker notes, I can really customize this whole view. There's even things like lasers and things like that. But this is the part that really blew my mind for us, is you can also pop out the speaker notes. So here I've popped out the speaker notes. Sorry, this deck doesn't really have any. But I can now take that window and throw it on my teleprompter or whatever I want, and they're just speaker notes tied to my session here, tied to my slide deck. So that's all really cool. Let me get rid of this. Let me pop this back in.
Is there any way that you can share without sharing to show us this? Because on YouTube, you're really small for everybody, unfortunately. Because you're sharing and your video goes very small.
Stop the share. Oh, but then we won't be able to see. Yeah,
I didn't bring in 2 units here.
Yeah, that's challenging.
I got to think about how to do it. I should have prepped that, but do you want me to keep going, or you want me to shut it down?
Yeah, no. Here's a suggestion: is just start up a new meeting on a different machine, and then bring it in. Would that work or no?
Yeah, probably would work. Yeah, let me see if I can get another meeting going.
Right, share to the other meeting. And then
to the other meeting.
Use a virtual camera here, right?
Yep. Give me a couple of minutes.
The other thing, Josh, before you go there, I think everybody might see the Josh Bragg is presenting.
Oh, look
and
at
the
that
take over button at the top. The cool thing about this is when multiple people are presenting, you can actually pass that presenter panel over to somebody else who then has full control, and then you can pick who the next presenter is and pass it to them.
Yeah. So let me show two more things, right?
Wait. Before you do that,
Yep.
did everyone look in chat? So as soon as you started sharing, we all got, or at least I got,
Yep.
a chat
Yes.
message that says, hey, this is, and a link to the presentation.
Link to the presentation. Yep. And that was something that you can suppress that as well. So two other things I want to show. One, I can also
Oh, wait,
allow.
hold on a second. So you
Yeah.
should, you're still screen sharing here. Do you still want to be screen sharing here or?
Yeah, I'll do it and I'll shut it down and bring it back in.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
you can also allow free browsing. So I'm going to allow free browsing here. So what that allows is everybody in this meeting, and there's 10 of us or whatnot, you all can move around the deck freely now without actually changing anything on my presenter view side. And I think a few of you are doing that.
You missed a slide before this one, and you want to go back and see it.
Yep, or
You can
go
browse over
advance.
to it.
Yep, so now the whole meeting can move around the deck.
And then also when you're moved ahead, you can say follow Josh again. So it goes
Yep.
right back to Josh's.
And it goes right back. Yep. Or if I don't want that, I can suppress that. So
Sorry,
stop.
where are those controls? Like how do I?
David, they were on the screen share.
Oh, I see. I
Like,
got
if
you. I
if
got you.
go back over to
Take over.
Josh's
Yeah.
screen
I
share.
got you.
Yep. Yeah, and then so here's so David, it looks like you just asked to take over slide control. So I can either give that manually from one person to the next, and I'll go ahead and give it to you here. Switch to next presenter. I'll switch to test kitchen. Now I just get full screen, and you
Yep.
now get full presenter view.
Yep. So here's what. Oh, you can't see that. Sorry. I can't show it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of meta to figure out how to
Yeah.
display it, but
Cool.
I should have brought a separate meeting in. You're right, Ray. That's a good idea.
Allow free. Okay, I see that. Allow free browsing and stop free browsing. Right.
So I was pretty amazed. We get so many feature requests for, just better presenter control, or, a presenter doesn't really have maybe a ton of monitors, right? Like producers usually do, or prompter. We get asked all the time about prompting, and this feature is 100% a way that you could figure out how to deliver prompting to your entire meeting right now. So this is a meeting only feature. It will come to webinars at some point. I don't know when. Yeah, I was pretty thrilled with it yesterday when I discovered it for myself.
That's very cool. Robert, go ahead.
You said you discovered this by yourself, or someone showed it to you?
Yeah, somebody showed it to me yesterday, but I don't know how long it's been.
Okay, Josh. Quick question: can you just run through the process of where you actually took that? Because what you did is you shared a file in the sharing option, but you shared a slide that is a Zoom slide.
Correct.
Yeah, and Josh, you're still sharing. Just an FYI, you're still sharing.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when you share now in Zoom, there's a files section of the sharing area, and by default, those are sort of your Zoom Hub files, so docs or canvases or spreadsheets that you have up in that section, but slide decks are also a part of that. So I just directly shared, so I didn't share in a browser. I've been using slides since I got access to it, in the spring whenever we got access, but I've just traditionally been working in a browser and then sharing, slide share mode and then sharing the browser screen, and I didn't realize that there was this whole presenter view that boots up in the client, which I think is really, really dynamic. I also think that's really, that's something Zoom should absolutely be doing to support presenters and content here. So now I have a built-in, teleprompter deck that we can pass around the room, and off we go. So, yeah.
Here's
Josh showed this.
Here's the screen. Let me just quickly, I'll show the screen share for everyone. Mike, if you don't mind popping me up there. So this is when you go into screen share, you land on screens, but then you click on files, and your Zoom files will by default show up here. So this is the investor pitch deck that we made a couple weeks ago. I've got present or collaborate, allow persistent access. Oh, this is for after closing the presentation, and then click presentation. So now that's going to pop up, and
we get the link to the deck right in the chat.
Right.
And off we go.
Yeah. Wild.
pretty potent. So I got to think through exactly what all use cases and how I would manage maybe a room of presenters, but it's better than slide control to me because you're actually handing somebody a whole view where they can see different slides kind of going on, and it just maybe would help everybody feel a little settled. I also liked the timer down there, so there was just a little timer, and I could even hit reset, so you could coach your presenters. Great, everybody's got 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. Here's what you do when you get slide control. Revamp that, so or reset the timer, and off you go, and it's just right there in front of them. So I think it's pretty cool. So does mean you have to be in Zoom slides, but there's migration features, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. That hey, if you want to do cool stuff in Zoom, use Zoom slides.
I was just thinking about that just before I was thinking to myself, wow, there's the argument for why migrating to Zoom slides and docs and stuff makes sense. Because if you're living in Zoom, if you're meeting in Zoom all the time, and you want to have access to those easily, I mean, that's just the way to do it. It's so much easier than having to have a browser open and choosing the window in the browser. In fact, you mentioned you were using Ecamm. I was working with someone earlier today, and one of the things that we found with screen sharing in Ecamm and then wanting to share into Zoom is that when you've got a keynote open or a this open, when you move it things get wonky. And in Zoom, to not have to have more windows open, but to just have it streamlined is really powerful.
Yeah, I thought a couple things jumped out to me just right away when I saw it yesterday. One, it's in the Zoom window, so it like kind of constrains it down. Not everybody, we have multiple monitors, right? Mike's over there in 6-monitor world. But if you're talking to just normal sort of presenter people, right? Not all of them do, or they're working off a laptop, and still being able to provide them a really simple teleprompter vibe really quickly, a presenter view really quickly right in the Zoom window, and it doesn't take up so much real estate that I couldn't also see chat, as a part of it. So I would like to test this, and maybe this will be content I put out, but what does it look like to present using that with a single screen or on a single laptop, which, so many of our presenters do. And the right answer can't be, oh, you need 4 monitors to do anything in this. That's not a very good answer, right? So I think a nice simple look where that's baked in is a really nice way to do it. So I got to play around with how I would actually configure a single screen with Q&A and things, but yeah, I'll keep playing with it.
Yeah, Josh shared this with me a little bit yesterday, and I played with it some last night. A couple of things that I really think, because again, I'm not a big, let's have other Macs and a whole bunch of other stuff here, and most of my presenters are technical educators, nursing and that sort of thing, but some of them just struggle getting the screen share started. Can I take a PowerPoint and upload it into a Zoom slides? And then can I put multiple slides in a folder and have that in my list and just be able to skip to the next slide and then pass control over to the speaker? They don't, oh, where am I going to see my notes? If you're going to be sharing the screen, how am I going to see my notes? Well, if I pass that over to them, they'll be able to see their notes. They'll be able to control which slide they're on, and they're embarrassed to have to say next and that sort of thing. But yet I would be the person that initiates the screen share. And when it's over, I would take the screen share down, prepare the next screen share to come up for the next speaker, and then hand it off to them when it's time for them to speak. That to me is a powerful workflow for this sort of low to mid tier presentation style.
Yeah, and you're not having to like run around and build, this is kind of from when I was a little more on the event services team, but we would build and deliver custom presenter views all the time via OBS. John, right? You've done that a ton, where we slap a timer up there that we control and some screen shares, and we capture all of it, and then we deliver that back as a participant, and we tell them, we'll go around and tell presenters, hey, just pin that one thing because it really has what you need, which is a timer in the next slide usually, right? And so this just eliminates all of that production work. Just share the deck around. It's almost like you kind of have the deck sitting in the room and everybody just walks in, you pick it up and kind of pass it around the room as you go, and it seems powerful. So licensing, yeah, this is included with Workplace Pro. Let's see, Workplace. It's just part of the Workplace Productivity Suite. So there's various limitations between free and pro, but it's just a part of the overall productivity suite. It's not a distinct feature. So docs, canvas, sheets, slides are all a part of that.
If you can make a
Whiteboard.
slides deck in Zoom, you can share it.
Yeah, there's no distinct slides there. And then really, and I don't fully understand everything about Zoom slides yet, but it's really built to be an AI delivery tool. So coming off of a deck or coming off of a canvas, I can now fire up and spin up a deck really, really quickly. So I'm definitely seeing us even internally use that really, really effectively. Right now, we just changed quarters, right? So tons of quarterly update type slide decks getting shared. And you're probably working out of some sort of broader canvas or spreadsheets or whatever you're doing to track. And now you can kind of quickly say, AI, help me translate this into meaningful slides that I can communicate quickly with my team or organization or whatever. So
the problem with AI slides is that AI trained on all the slide decks that we've built for the past 30 years, which were all terrible, awful, filled with too many words, and we were writing scripts in our slide decks, and so now AI trained on all that. So unfortunately, I think we're gonna get some crappy slide decks. But Robert, what you got?
Anyone have any experience in importing presentations into slides?
I've done it with Google Slides. I haven't used PowerPoint in quite a few years now, but yeah, I've used Google Slides to some effect. I'm still learning how to manage kind of all the templates and the graphics and things like that in Zoom, but content comes over. And to David's point, yeah, I think most of the time AI is pretty text heavy anyway, which isn't always the point of a slide deck, right? So, but yes, I have done it. I could demo it if we needed to, but.
Not so much. I know it's available, but what should be watching out for when we're doing it? Because obviously, if you want to use this for 5 or 6 speakers, we're going to want to import all of their slide decks into and create a slide deck that we're managing, or several slide decks and slides that we're managing. And so,
yeah, we'll have to work through it.
Right. We'll have to play with that. Okay. The other thing is, and it's a little bit off topic, but as of the 2nd of this month, we all have to put the AI generated on any video stuff that we're generating. So need to be sensitive to that when generating slides.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Who
has to do that, Robert?
Anyone who is producing content that is going out into the public, whether it's video or graphics. And the 2 states in the US that have put the laws in, that's California and someone else, I can't remember where it is. And the EU has placed it now from the 2nd of August, and the fines are pretty obnoxious. I got a link. I can put it in the. Oh, there we go. If you look at Andy, he's got that EU graphic there, AI generated, that needs to be on any AI generated.
Wait. Hold on. Okay. I mean, I get you, and I understand. I know this is why one of the reasons why Claude is now watermarking their. I get it, but Andy's AI generated, like, if I need a sign on that.
It doesn't need to be that big. I mean, it could be something
but
as simple as
I
like
genuinely
down the corner here.
need to put a sign.
That's what Robert's saying.
Yeah, the guidelines are available to read, and they're up to interpretation. There is a certain amount of space to interpret them. But effectively what it's saying is that if you're changing the background of anything or putting an image there that has been AI generated and represents something that could be
okay, no one's going to do that. No one's going to do that. Companies that can get sued will do that.
Yeah, the fine in California is $5,000 per day per event.
Come on, wait a second. An individual who creates an AI generated background in Zoom, which Zoom has the functionality, gives us that tool to create an AI
in the US,
background.
it's advertisements that are photorealistic. So it's very specific in the States. In the EU, like normal, they've gone way too broad, and they're going to sue the crap out of anyone who wants to fight them.
Now, does that mean if I show up to a meeting with someone in the EU and I share and I put my avatar up, or do I have to be physically in the EU?
But this is the big question.
I'm really nervous now.
Who is responsible for that? The person, are you responsible for it because you're in the States, or you're developing in the EU, one of the EU countries, member states? But the answer to that, which I heard from a lawyer today, was that it all depends on who's seeing it. The content from the legal point of view is who sees it, but the person producing it is responsible.
So if I join a Zoom meeting, if anyone joins a Zoom meeting in the EU and they use the AI generated background that Zoom gives us, we could get sued.
Well, you need to be careful and read the descriptions, because the AI generated backgrounds do not have people in them. They're not implying anything that is associated with people.
Oh, it's just people.
I don't know 100%, David. I don't want to be, I'm not a lawyer, and this is something that's very new. And I've shared the link in the chat, so you can have a look at it and just decide upon by yourselves. It's
okay. So I'm going to actually, if it's okay, because I saw John, you just unmuted yourself. Hang tight for a second. And Robert, hang tight for a second. We're going to come back to this. But Andy has to jump in his car really quick. And he has a very important update for us.
So what I'm going to be talking about a little bit is we were talking about the Zoom production studio and using it with Ecamm. In the Ecamm alpha version, there is the ability to use the bring your own encoder, meaning that I can use Ecamm instead of Zoom production studio. So the question last week, and we've tested it out and it works great. The question last week was, how does that work to have somebody do essentially a backup? Like, what happens if Ecamm crashes? So I ran a test, and I had a webinar that I joined with Ecamm for Zoom. I also had a co-host that was backstage. So Ecamm for Zoom, I had to be on stage in order for that to work, but the co-host was backstage. I forced quit Ecamm, and so it killed Ecamm. It killed my connection to Zoom. Attendees still see the last scene that I had from Ecamm for Zoom. It just kind of freezes. If the co-host realizes that the host has left, he can open up Zoom Production Studio, or actually even have it open already, and just start sending a scene out and just kind of essentially take over. You'll get the notification that you're taking over for somebody else, but you just take over. If the co-host does not realize that Zoom has, you'll have to wait till Zoom kicks the person off, like does that official remnant kick the person off. And then you'll get a notification saying that there is no one running Production Studio. Would you like to do it? And so you can take over. And as soon as the host rejoined and came back on stage, Ecamm took back over for the Production Studio, all except for one time. And I'm not really sure what caused that one time. But in that one time, the host had to leave the stage and then come back on stage, and then was able to take back over. So your co-host can already have Zoom Production Studio open and running and ready to go, just not sending any scenes. So it's a pretty good backup solution.
That's what I was hoping for, Andy. That's what I was hoping for.
John, looks like you have a question.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, is the ZPS able to just stream to the B stream in YouTube, so there's a less of a gap and you don't have to spin up
that's
another...
a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
No, basically what ends up happening with Production Studio is, if in the case of what Andy was talking about, and has happened to John and I, is that, not you, John, but John Drinkwater and I, is that should there be a crash with Production Studio, it's acting identical what Andy found, which is basically the last scene was sent from Ecamm. So in this case, last scene from Production Studio was sent until somebody else takes over Production Studio and continues. That does not affect at all YouTube, as long as you're sending from if you're sending from Zoom to YouTube. If you're sending from yourself to YouTube, that's a totally different ballgame. So you would have to, if you wanted to, you could actually have Zoom go to I don't know if Zoom's system is smart enough to go to the B mount of YouTube to be a backup instead of the A RTMP. So that would be the other question to test out and possibly bring up to our Zoomies, aka Josh, and the rest of the team over there. with that. But yeah, in the regards of if Andy was directly streaming from Ecamm to YouTube, then yes. If he was going, if he was whatever he was sending back into Zoom was being streamed from Zoom to YouTube, that would never die. If Ecamm died, then. Andy, I did that right? You?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because again, it depends on who's encoding where. If Zoom's encoding, it won't die. If Ecamm's encoding, it will die. You just then have to have a backup feed coming from somewhere. And in this case, potentially you could have it from Zoom. Go ahead, Andy.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, so it being a backup, obviously the production would be a little bit different. But if you would build out your scenes in Zoom Production Studio, that would be similar. Your co-host could take over, or your co-host could flash out like technical difficulties or whatever they wanted to flash up there until your host came back in. And then as soon as your host came back in, your host would automatically take over back into the production studio.
Right. Yeah. So in the production world, where I come up with this scenario, and I've mentioned this on our show as well, is basically the Zoom Production Studio then would turn into sort of what we call in the TV world master control. So basically, master control would be, the tech diff slide, the tech diff video, the welcome slide before you actually bring in the Ecamm or vMix or whatever into production studio. So yes, that's where I would envision, and that would be that would be the perfect scenario where you could actually have a couple of scenes if you wanted to, and one of them could be technical difficulty video that just loops until Ecamm comes back. But again, it won't take it, so somebody still has to manually take it. It won't automatically.
Right, you still have to have your
fail over to it.
co-host, and you'd have to have your co-host in there, having production studio open to do that.
Yeah, but at least it would, if that person did, let's say the scene did stop and Ecamm wasn't back in time, you could then take the scene of tech diff at that particular point until Ecamm came back and then continue.
Yeah.
So that's actually the beauty of production studio in this particular case, is because if the person running production studio flips out, the AWS machine continues to provide a valid stream based on the last scene that it got. I think I've told you guys this several times. I was, had one of the scenes producing a video that was just playing a video, and my machine blipped out. And when I came back, it was still playing, doing what it was. And nobody ever knew that I had gone for 10 or 15 seconds.
Fantastic. Thank you for guinea pigging.
So again, that's in an alpha version. It's not public yet. So
don't
as far
tell
as
anyone.
Bring your own production studio, or to bring your own engine.
Don't tell. But yeah, thank you, Andy. Cool. Really appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
Awesome. See you in a bit.
Continue on, Mr. Baskin. Before.
Well, I'm all stressed out now because I was just on a Zoom call with our good friend Leo Mindell the other day, and when I got it, who lives in the EU, and when I got on the call, I had this dude up, and now I'm afraid that I'm going to get sued.
Over to you, Mr. Zabadadi.
I don't think you're going to get sued, David. There's if you read the document, it actually says that any AI generated or manipulated text, which this is not, that's one part that it applies to, and the other part is to it's clearly states that not all AI generated or manipulated content needs to be labeled. So there are exceptions there. The lawyers wrote this, and lawyers are starting to interpret it. So we're going to find that, I think in time, we'll have a clear understanding. It's not up to us to try and understand this document, David.
Well, you know what I'm curious about? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I want to read the one paragraph that is in the document that he sent. Deep fakes is one thing, and I think we all understand deep fakes are probably bad, but AI generated or manipulated text published to inform the public on matters of public interest, which did not undergo human review or editorial control and where editorial responsibility was not assumed by any legal or natural person. So earlier today, I actually asked AI to generate me some slides to show how to do the sharing that Josh gave us. And so I have that. I've gone through it and made a couple of corrections. And so I should not, according to this, then have to put up an AI generated tag on top of that.
It was reviewed by a human.
I think too, a lot of these conversations are happening in a binary: is AI good versus AI bad? And we just don't have the vocabulary yet to have more nuanced conversations, because the same thing is happening. People are losing book contracts and losing film contracts because of AI generated things where they either didn't use AI, or they used it in a way of saying, hey chat, could you read this and tell me where the holes are, what's not tracking? That's incredibly different than saying, chat, I'm thinking of writing this book, can you write the next 5 chapters in this style? And it provides information back. Like, those are two very, very different things. That's not a binary of good or bad. And I think we're seeing that legally, and we're seeing that in all of these conversations that are happening, where it's like, it's just not, there has to be more language to discuss what AI is and what it's not doing.
Just to give an example here, I was also on a Synthesia webinar today, where they introduced this and showed that it's a feature that they have enabled within their video generating, well, the avatar generating films that they make, that you can add it automatically. And they're recommending to everyone in the UK at the moment to add it by default until such time as the law is clarified and tells us what we can't do. But once again, this is Synthesia works mainly with corporate accounts, so they're big accounts, companies that have a lot of money and a lot of legal clout. So
the piece of this that I'm fascinated by or concerned about is when tools like Zoom give us built-in ways to generate slide decks. We just learned about Zoom slides, right? And Josh just reminded us that those are meant to be created with AI. So they don't have a watermark built in. I mean, does Zoom now have a responsibility to watermark everything that we might use in a Zoom meeting?
But is it Zoom's responsibility or us as users' responsibility?
Yeah, that's I guess what I'm asking.
The way Synthesia presented it today was that it's the user's responsibility, and they've made the tool available so that either you can switch on all your slides are produced with the watermark, or the slide that you're working on.
I think this is not necessarily targeted at Zoom, where there are live people going, here are my slides. You know, if you're going to read from slides that you've probably looked at, it's probably not targeted there. But if you're going to put on a website a deck that just got AI generated, and you're not even going to look at it to see is any of that stuff even true or based on fact, that stuff needs a watermark. And David, to your point, your avatar, who's going to sue you for putting up a picture of you that's not really you? That would be you, and you wouldn't sue yourself for doing that. I don't think anybody else would go, David put up a picture that wasn't actually David. I knew it wasn't David because it looked like a cartoon. You're not deep faking at that point. I think the law will eventually come to a real realization of what needs to be policed and what really is, to the reasonable person, known to not be true.
David, just to go on Ray's point, that one of the statements here in this document is evidently artistic, creative, satirical, fictional, and analogous work is not included. So choose how you want to describe yourself.
Right. And so let's forget about my stupid avatar, and let's go back to the Zoom slides. If I'm presenting a slide deck, a pitch deck, a budget And that's created with AI.
If it's substantially reviewed by a human to be accurate and true, that is an exception.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that any content we see anymore is going to have some sort of AI generation, because we're not going to spend the time that we used to spend generating a slide deck from an Excel sheet that we've maybe pulled together from several different sources that has had an LLM touch that. But we have to make sure that if I'm presenting something and there's fiduciary duties tied to it, that it's accurate information I'm presenting.
Right. But my point is that's always the case. I mean, it doesn't matter whether AI created it, my assistant created it, or I created it. It is my responsibility to make sure it's accurate. Why do I need to watermark something?
New laws don't solve problems. They just create more regulation to make lawyers more money.
Right.
One of the questions that came up, David, today was you may have created the content, you've read the slide deck, you agree with it. What happens if the translated captions get switched on in Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
We've just gone round that regulation that assumed that someone has read it. There are a lot of things. Now, I'm not trying to be difficult here. I'm just saying that these are the sort of issues that were discussed today that they have to be addressed, and there is no. We're not the people to be talking about it really from a legal point of view.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Fascinating. Well, this isn't the AI test kitchen, but there's certainly so much AI built into Zoom, and they're encouraging us to use it so much. It certainly seems appropriate to ask these questions. What else have we got? What else are people working on? I can give an update that my Zoom app I have finally resubmitted it. And just yesterday, actually, and we'll see what they say. But I think it works. So we'll see if they. Yeah. Go ahead, Tamara.
Hey, I had a question that maybe you have seen happen, or maybe it was just my computer having an off day. I run a monthly writing retreat that goes for 14 hours, and I use Ecamm in Zoom as a title card page to kind of, in one of the boxes, it has its own account. I log in, and I use the slide deck as a camera, and it just plays kind of like they do in office hours. It multiple times just dumped to a black screen. And I don't know if you had that experience. I was using PowerPoint, which I never do. So I'm thinking it had to do with the Ecamm and PowerPoint interaction with Zoom, but it kept doing it over and over again, which made me sad.
Can you tell us a little bit more? So when you said it went to a black screen, was that in Keynote? Was it in Ecamm, or was it in Zoom?
It was in,
or was it in all three?
In Zoom. My camera was the slide deck. And so every once in a while, my camera would just become a black box. And I had to literally stop my camera.
When you say your camera was the deck, you're using the Ecamm virtual camera in that Zoom?
I'm using Ecamm virtual camera. And then deck's going fine. It's playing all good. And then every once in a while, it would drop the virtual camera would just be a black box. It would still say I was on Zoom virtual camera, but I was staring at a black box.
Did you want David to do a demo of this to see if we can?
One more question. Were you joining the Zoom meeting in Ecamm, or did you use the plain vanilla Zoom client and just use the virtual camera?
I just used the virtual camera. Should I join it through Zoom? Would that make a difference to you?
I don't know. I think that there's a little bit different way that it transfers the video over when it does that. You can try it and see if that makes a difference.
I've not had any problems ever. That's why I just started using the PowerPoint, so I think that's the weird system in that. But it was so weird. It was like I couldn't get it to do it when I wanted to. It just did it, but it did it about 6 or 7 times during the whole thing. And so I'm like, I'd have to jiggle it and come back, and then it would be fine. but it was just weird. So I didn't know
You
if
might
anybody
want
else had that problem.
you might want, if you're just using the separate virtual camera, you can uninstall the Ecamm virtual camera and reinstall it. Try that to see maybe if it's corrupt somehow, and see if
Yeah.
that helps.
That makes sense. I'm going to try that because it has its own computer and everything. I do it once a month, and it literally is the computer for that particular task. All my computers have their own job, so I'll play with that. But thank you. I wasn't really sure if anybody else saw that. It was weird.
Robert, go ahead.
I haven't seen that exact situation, Tamara, but what I've found since the beginning of the year, the Zoom workplace is taking up a lot of memory in my computers. And the usage of that memory seems to be going up depending on what you're doing. And I've had the Zoom virtual camera, sorry, not the Ecamm virtual camera and OBS outputs go black when I run out of memory. So I would look in that direction. I don't know how big a machine you have, but I have these on like minimal, just 8 gig and just minimal.
It's usually only doing one task at a time. Like I've pulled it, but I will definitely look at both of those things. It was, like I said, it didn't really work that way. And to be honest with you, I was being lazy because I updated the slide deck and I just didn't update. The old way of doing it would be and the better way of doing it would be to really set it up as separate slides and separate scenes that just do its thing in Ecamm. And I think it wouldn't do that. I think it had to do with the interaction. I just didn't have time to do it. So that's the other thing. I could probably fix it by just using Ecamm the way it was intended and not sharing another application. I'll check both those things. Thank you, guys.
And Mr. Paskin stepped away and I was busy chatting. Go figure. Hi, everybody on YouTube. Any other questions? And I haven't seen too many on YouTube. So if you do have questions on YouTube, and I'm going to cross my fingers that my graphics are working. Let's see. Nope, not right now. How about a little later? I got to check my Stream Deck. Go figure. But yeah, we'll get back to you momentarily. Any other questions? Tony, you actually are on camera now. Does this mean you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I'm just listening and learning a lot, and appreciate the Zoom Test Kitchen for what it does.
So you did get your answers from John, right? Regarding Mac coming soon.
Yes, I heard him
Good.
say that he's working on it, and it might come in real soon. So, looking forward to that.
Excellent. Yeah, in Tony's case, John, for your FYI, Tony you'd use that for the church, right? Tony, is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely. I'm trying to figure it out. We already have one Windows machine, but right now we have more Macs that we are working with than Windows. We do have one Windows, but the person who has the Windows is not going to take on the opportunity of trying out Core Video, so I need to be able to try it out.
I'll work on it as soon as I can, Tony.
Thank you, John. I appreciate
I hear it loud and clear from many, many, many people. So,
and it'll be cool to actually see you integrate it, John, as well with the Robert. Remind me the other software that you mentioned before.
Meld.
Meld, yes, right, yeah, Meld Studio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Zabadati, go right ahead, sir.
John, can I just come back to you a second because I've been thinking about this. Can you just talk about load on your PCs when using OBS and the ISO sources? Does that go up like in a linear manner, or does it suddenly rise very quickly, or how's it behaving?
It's fairly. I mean, each source can only be up to 12 megabit. As far as video coming in, it's already encoded in a pretty efficient manner. So it's not necessarily taking a bunch. I think when I have 8 sources plus the dynamic gallery going, now mind you, I have a 14900K and a 4090 GPU, NVIDIA GPU. So I don't know what that's like in if you're like on a 4060 or something, or just using an iGPU. But for it's 30-40%. And in total on the GPU side, and it's very low CPU because I'm doing everything in GPU conversion now, and so it runs really efficiently. It's not struggling to keep up. At the same time, I have a bunch of friends who play Pal World. I have a Pal World server running on the same box that you saw me doing all this demo from. It was actively up. Somebody was connected to it playing the game. I have the YouTube video playing. I have Discord open. I have a Claude thing happening. It's not all that's happening at the same time I was doing this demo. So it's not super inefficient. Now, I would not recommend it if you're trying to encode at the same time and you're also trying to do an ISO recording and all that extra GPU load. But as long as you play it safe and understand where your limits are and test, then just make sure it's sufficient for what you need. It's pretty efficient as it goes, and it really just depends on how quality of feeds are coming in, what the frame rate is, what your canvas size, if you're going to try to do a vertical and a horizontal cut on the same machine, all those things are going to play into it.
Good one, John.
Thank you.
Tony, go ahead.
So I was just curious, John, what do you think about me playing with OBS right now? I have not played with OBS in a long time. It's probably been at least 4 years since I even opened up OBS. Or do you think I should just wait until the Mac version of Core Video is available to start playing with OBS?
I think that you should learn the software that's underlying it. It's going to be way more critical than just bring in the Zoom feeds. You got to understand what the audio pipeline is, how to build your scenes, what you want your look to be, where you want to output to, all those things, canvas size. They're all going to dictate what your output is at the end of the day. And these are just sources. It's just the lowest layer. There's a little bit of complication to where they're coming from and how it happens, but at the end of the day, it could be a webcam. It just happens to be coming from Zoom. The rest of it is the complicated part.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Tony, play with OBS now.
I would say
Then
the same. I would say the same thing. I've done that.
Yeah. So I would definitely start playing with OBS now, especially if you do want to add the plugin / module of John's to OBS when it's ready. Then you'll be at least ready you've already got the basics behind you with OBS, because John's plugin module is not, it's not the whole scenario. And John, this is maybe where possibly people are getting a little confused between the plugin and also your eventual pro version that you're going to have as well. So you might want to talk a little more where the two differences are going to be there, so that everybody understands a little more at a little lower level, because there was some confusion that they thought you were replacing OBS, which you're not, which you showed us today, but yet pro potentially could, correct?
Yeah, Pro would. Pro is a entire production studio. It starts to become more of a Ecamm Mimo Live kind of competitor in the long term. So, but mostly focused on Zoom sources and just around basic audio. So it's just like a simpler way to do virtual productions with Zoom sources.
Sorry, can I just jump in here real quick? So I vibe code all the time also, but that kind of a project, you don't have any development experience?
I did PHP development back in high school. That's my last time I did any sort of serious development.
Wow.
But I just so at work, in 6 weeks, my boss said, "Hey, this company's jerking us around. I don't want to renew this contract. I want to see if you can replace this within a 6 weeks timeline." And so I had one day to kind of spin up a mock demo. And 1 week I had it functional with an integration into Salesforce. And 4 weeks later, it was rolled out to 4,000 people. So integrated to Cisco phone system. It's like a click to dial integration with tracking and a bunch of other stuff that happens and call recording. And so I'm familiar with building with the applications, vibe coding. When it comes into like doing it in an enterprise, there's a whole team around it and a lot of testing and QA. And so it was way more than just me, but kind of got it off the ground with me and a couple other guys to do the Salesforce side. Got the POC. Everyone's like, okay, I think we can do this. And then we just kind of spun up a dev team and a Salesforce team and a QA team and then just ran.
But
Very
to
cool.
be fair, yeah, but to be fair to John too, and you're giving yourself not enough credit too. It's not easy to actually write PHP, John. So I know.
Yeah.
I know. But
it's not
again,
writing a compositor. It's not everything that's happening
right.
today.
Right. Understood.
John,
Understood. But at least you've already got the proper mentality down of,
Yeah, I can read the code, like I'm
Right.
familiar. I had to take a Objective-C class when I was in college getting my IT degree. So like I can look at it and kind of understand and break it down, but they're nowhere near. I'm not good at like starting from scratch and trying to create all these templates and stuff, but I have this idea. Let's start to flush it out.
Right.
This is where I think where like vibe coding can go wrong. If you don't understand what the requirements are, what you have to have, what you have to meet, if you don't understand architectural principles, if you don't understand, the limits of actually design. And like I said earlier, like I could say, yeah, you can do ISO records for 40 sources. If I don't know that most cards can only do 8, I'm going to design a solution that will fail. And so that like I have to bring those principles and thoughts and ideas into this concept and then let AI code. And then I test. And the biggest thing is I build entire test suites where I spin up and I do a soak test and it all happens automatically. I don't have to touch a thing. The whole reason I did OSC control and the companion module and an API for it is so I could have AI run the meetings without me. I can have it code something, test it, release it, and I can get validation that it's actually working without me having to touch it. I can say, I'm going to work. Here's your work for today. Test it, and then create a PR, and I'll review it when I get home. And it's not going to come in and say, I think I did this. It's going to say, here's this. Here's the logs that come with it. Here's an HTML document that proves it out. And here's actually what happens today. Here's the known gaps that I have. And then I can go that evening and then figure out, like, what am I going to debug tonight?
So proud. So proud. And Mr. Paskin, dumbfounded. Continue, sir.
No, it's not that I'm dumbfounded. I just discovered a week and a half ago the power of I'm not on the Claude side, I'm on the ChatGPT side, but I just discovered the power of ChatGPT work, that I can say to it, here's the problem I want to solve. I want you to use GitHub. I want you to go to dev, make sure it's okay, and then merge when you're ready. And it just does it. And it's magical, absolutely magical, life-changing magical. And I have one app that is we're absolutely using in, what would you call it, in the wild, or two really. But I don't know. It just the idea of grabbing video. You know what I think it is? Here's what I think it is. My app is a closed app. It's for just the company that I work for, and we handle student names and things like that, but nothing too personal. But if you're going to build a video engine, not a video engine, a production engine that's going to grab people's images and names and all that, the security is just going to have to be, I mean, we all remember when Zoom, got slapped on the wrist back in 2020 for their lack of security. I don't know. It seems like a huge lift, and it's amazing that you're able to do that with it's amazing that we're all able to do this with no coding background or very little coding background.
Yeah, I think it comes into like, and I'm working on something at work because we have a company of 8,000, 9,000 people. Like, and we have a process where we call them X programs. So we take people with no IT experience, or maybe they've done like a 3 month, like dev camp, and they just happen to be an underwriter right now who works for us. They can go and take a small assessment, get into a program. It takes them into IT. So that, like, for QA roles, BA roles, dev roles, some of our most successful developers 6 to 9 months ago were sitting in an operations floor, just doing loan stuff because they understand the system enough. They understand exactly what the role is. And now they're going to go solve problems, especially the BAs, right? They know exactly what the business requirements are and what it means, and they know the impact that it has. So putting people through that is awesome. But now we need to identify people who can work with AI systems and can think in systems. And so I'm working on like testing that we can do where we can evaluate the team members who work for us and find out who are those system thinkers who are going to work best in what is to come, where it's AI focused development that's happening much quicker. The project I was on, we did a long term, our 6 week planning session, right? And they had 2 week sprints because that's what is the standard out the box. So we leave this PI planning, and I'm like, we're not going to do 2 week sprints. Like, it's going to be probably 2 day. And that's what it turned into. So every 48 hours, we're releasing something. It's build one day, it's test the next day, it's release that evening. And that's the cycle that we've got into. And so it's really evolving, but getting people who can understand and think in systems and understand architecture and teach them what this means. There's people who already have this capability who haven't expressed it yet because they don't know what they're doing, but being able to source those people within an organization who can be your early adopters, who can and grow. Now it can take that BA who has all this business knowledge, who can think in systems, and now they can be a developer. They can wear multiple hats. They can be much more efficient, and then we can release products that solve these problems even faster. I'm really excited to see where this evolves in the near future.
I worry a little. We did a show a few months ago about the future of SaaS, and big, not the Microsofts, they're fine, but Notion or some of these larger tools that honestly we don't need anymore. Like I built my own second brain. I don't need Notion.
Yeah, point products don't solve anything anymore.
Right.
At least for people like us who have an idea of exactly what we need. Off the shelf is still going to make sense for 90% of people. But if you have a specific use case and you're just trying to shove it into this COTS product and it's just not working right, and you have the ability to kind of solve it your own way, why wouldn't you?
Right.
This is the whole build versus buy. It flips it on its head. But for organizations, they still have to be willing to make that investment. This isn't a one time, I spent 6 weeks, we got this product out the door. Immediately after we get the product out the door, we're sitting down. All right, what team's going to own this? What's going to be the life cycle of this product? What are we going to incorporate? What do we see as future architecture for this? There's all this conversation and investment that has to happen. So yes, I saved $1 million, which is great, but how many devs are going to be signed to this long term? And it may be a wash, right? The salaries may be a wash, but now I own this and I can customize it, and then I can bring additional value to the organization. And then maybe I can go strangle off another product that we're paying and incorporate it into this and build this into a larger ecosystem. But I would like Salesforce. They should be worried. They're a database with a nice front end with a bunch of integrations.
Yep.
Now it's easier for people to go solve that problem on their own. And if you're a Salesforce developer who's just specializes in building dashboards and connecting all these different products, you got to find a different way to sell yourself because other people are going to be able to solve this fairly quickly. But this always happens, right? Efficiency always drives innovation and people figure out different ways to earn money. You know,
I was surprised, John, when you were talking about Core Video that you said that it's free.
for me, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of people that, like, again, an OBS plugin to maintain isn't a bunch of time for me. Now that this is done, I was able to take everything I learned from building out the engine that goes behind this, that pipes this video over. That's the big part of what's going into my Pro one. And the Pro one is something I feel like I can charge for because I'm creating an experience. If you want to go do it yourself, go do it for free. I don't need to compete in that game, the rise to the lowest. But I want to create something that people can use that's easy. So these people who have low experience, they know I can click this button, join this Zoom meeting. It's going to grab these sources, and by default, it can sound exactly like the Zoom meeting, but it'll have lower thirds, and I can do two box. I can do this stuff that's just a little bit easier than if I was going to have to go build all the scenes. It can be pretty right out of the box. That's sort of the focus. Choose your brand colors. Here's a couple things. Choose your font, and then you can kind of go. That's
this
the
like,
value that you're paying for, is that ease, right? It's
is
just
this like
going.
Cinemaker? I mean, when Cinemaker was around, I don't think it's around anymore. I think it's gone. But
I didn't use it, so I can't.
Oh,
I
no,
can't speak
yeah,
to that.
all right,
Yeah.
Tony, what you got?
I did use Cinemaker, and it was a pretty cool experience. I was just wondering, John, can you talk a little bit about the hardware, maybe for beginner, and maybe what the hardware might be for the Pro version?
Yeah, as far as resources, it's going to be very similar for the OBS plugin versus the standalone application. There's not a big difference there. I think that I need to try it on like a M1, like a base M1, and actually see kind of what it is. Again, I have a pretty beefy desktop and I have an M3 Max laptop. So I don't think that's a fair way that, most people aren't going to be using the same type of hardware. So I just need to get some, like, I have a laptop that also has a 4090 in it. But it's a laptop version. So I can kind of see what it is inside that. And then just get my hands on like a Costco M whatever, the M4 base one, $600 Mac, and just see kind of how it plays. But that's going to just go down to how many sources do you want from your meeting. If it's a two-person conversation, that's going to be easy. It's when you get into 8 and then wanting to have a dynamic gallery and then encoding to multiple destinations or pushing it over to NDI. That's where it starts becoming more of a chunk. But a two-person conversation should be able to happen on almost any type of machine. When Zoom ISO first came out, I was doing 8 sources out of a card out of an M1 Air. So it's fairly simple. It's not a huge bandwidth hog, which means it's low in memory, and then it just comes down to your encodes are going to be more important than almost anything else.
Thank you, sir.
What else is going on in the Zoomiverse? Is there anything? Have I missed anything? I don't know that anything exciting is happening. I don't think there have been.
I'll go over to Frank and say, Frank, did we miss anything?
Frank knows.
There's always lots going on. I don't know all of it because I don't use all the products. I have some show and tell if you want to see my show and tell, but it's nothing compared to what we just listened to. We have a bunch of locations that we book out where I work, 12 rooms that are used for people to create multimedia. We call them creation studios, so they have software, PCs, Macs, microphones, ring lights. Anyways, we're trying to get a booking system together, and I was asked to try and do one in Zoom. So Zoom has something called Zoom Spaces, which kind of came from Zoom Rooms. Zoom Rooms was one of Zoom's early products mostly for video conferencing type rooms. And then people said, we need a way to schedule that. So Zoom said, okay, we'll build a scheduling tool. And then out of that came, hey, we want to schedule rooms that aren't video conference rooms. Now you can actually schedule all kinds of things. But anyways, I'll share my screen and I'll show you what I have been playing with for a couple of days. So this is the Zoom web portal. You can also get to this through your phone. You can get through to this on a web page anyways. This is the new Zoom experience that's coming out on the 26th. So I'll go to what they call the waffle up here, and I'll go to workspaces. And then I've got a little map here of the rooms. I've only got 3 of the whole rooms mapped so far, but let's say I want to go to this room. It tells you what's in the room. It gives you a picture. You can check the availability. If you want to book it, you can book it. There's also a timeline view, so you can check and see what's available. So each room. Anyway, so I've just been playing with that, and it works pretty good.
Back up. So this is workspaces, which I have seen in. I have seen that in Zoom.us.
Yeah.
Let me go over to that settings. Okay. So there's let's see. Where is it? I know I saw it here. Workflow. No. Where? Oh, there it is. No, that's workflows. Where's workspaces? I know it's. What am I missing here? Workspaces management. Workspaces. Here we go. So did you upload that map?
Yep.
And then you essentially just like put a box.
I put a
over this-
hotspot, sort of like a
Right.
hotspot on rooms that were bookable. So when you click on that, invisible hotspot, then it launches the tool that allows you to check availability or to fill out the reservation. There's a dashboard for admins, so I could make someone just a Spaces admin, not an admin for the whole organization. So if someone's going to be the person who reviews the bookings and says, yeah, it's approved or not approved, or you can just have it automated and always approved, but we don't want to do that. And then it sends, there's reminders. It'll send you a confirmation email. It'll send, if you cancel, it'll send you a cancellation. You can have reminders like 12 hours before your booking to remind you. You can do pre-booking surveys. So let's say somebody wants to book a room. I can send them a survey saying, answer some questions first, and then I'll see if I approve your booking. So let's say it was a room where you did something that needed catering, like do you need catering? Do you need an AV guy? Whatever the survey, whatever you want to put on there is relevant to the space, I guess. And then you can do post-booking surveys, like how was your experience in the room or the facility or whatever. You can have digital signage. You can have visitor kiosks. You can have touch pads on the outsides of the spaces where people can see the schedule or book even from that little touchpad on the wall. Anyways, just a little thing that I didn't vibe code myself. Zoom made it for me. I didn't have to code anything. I just had to go through all the preferences and fill out all the preferences and things. You can tie it to Microsoft Office calendars. You can tie it to Google calendars. You can use the Zoom calendar. Anyways, it's just something we don't talk about very much here. Some of the other stuff that Zoom makes.
No, when I look in workspaces, interesting. Workspaces I have access to, visitor management, visitor details, but when I click on calendar integration.
Yeah, you have to go configure all that stuff.
No, but I can't configure. So calendar integration, I have to contact sales, but everything else I have access to.
Well, that's probably a limitation of the type of account you have or something.
Yeah, you're on an educational enterprise account, aren't you? Frank?
Yeah,
No.
but even
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Yes.
I am. But even so, I had to buy. Actually, I'm getting a free trial of 10 Spaces licenses. We haven't decided if we're gonna use this or not. We have some other people trying Microsoft bookings and some other tools, but
The 10, when you say Spaces license, what does that mean?
so each room that I want to have available for booking costs
Needs its own license?
Yeah, but it's $1.50 a month. It's like $15 a year per room.
I gotcha.
So
Or per desk, I guess.
Yeah, you can have desks which work a little different than rooms, so you can use it for hot desking.
Right.
yeah, that's another thing it does that I didn't mention. Anyways, that's my show and tell for this week.
It's cool. This is, I mean, it's very much like a shared workspace. What are those workspaces called? A shared workspace, except I mean, my daughter worked in one for a little while, but they had long term. You would get it for
Like
a long
hotel
term.
desking?
Yeah, but this is you know, on a daily basis or an hourly basis, even.
Yeah.
It's equivalent of reserving a conference room.
Yep.
Yep. You can reserve desks or rooms, or I think you can even use it for equipment. But I don't have that need right now. And it does a bunch of other stuff too, like digital signage, visitor management. You can have a printer, and it can print badges out for people. They stand in front of like a camera mounted to the wall. It takes their picture, prints them a digital badge. You can do it reception. You can do package acceptance. A lot of weird things. There's a lot of things. You can do points of interest.
So this is included. Okay, so you can pay $15 per space per year, or if you have a Zoom Workplace Enterprise plan, it's included at no cost.
Which I don't have that, so we just asked our sales rep for 10 free licenses to mess around.
And there's AI built in for employee level recommendations for desks, rooms, or office days. Wow.
Does everyone have to have a Zoom license to use it?
Everyone in my organization does, so yeah. I think you can set the preferences that they don't have to, but we only want authenticated users using the spaces, so we use SSO for everything, so everybody at my organization has a Zoom license and has SSO.
Frank, are you doing access control in it too? In each room?
No. We don't have any kind of like card reader system or anything where you got to swipe. I mean, we have that at work, but just not on these particular locations.
But
it's possible.
You could actually integrate that too, right?
Yeah, it supports QR codes and a whole bunch of other things too. There's a bunch of things you can do. We're just at the very beginning. I'm not planning on doing digital signage right away or anything, but it'd be nice to put like we have a couple of big monitors outside the room. I was thinking it'd be nice to put the schedule for the 12 rooms and say, you know, it's free, it's open, whatever, right? Or who's got it reserved or something.
So something similar to the actual map that you're showing.
Yeah. Or more like an airport, you know, planes arriving kind of thing. Like you could just do that with the rooms and you can do other things too. You can use it for digital signage. So like you might put the schedule up for a while and then you might show a video or put up a slide with some text about something, and then you might put the schedule back up. You can do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
We just rolled this out with the app space.
Oh yeah.
And we're finding a lot of good uses of it, as well as a bunch of rules around like how the space can be used if people don't check in, freeing them up. Obviously, with I think we have like 70 or 80 conference rooms in our campus, and we have 9,000 people.
I'm just checking it out now. Thanks because I never heard of it before.
Yeah, it's pretty
What's
cool.
it called again? I'm sorry.
App Space, APPSPACE.
Here's something else you could build.
Yeah, for sure.
We really don't need to pay for it.
Well, we also have Microsoft bookings at our organization, and somebody's coming at it from that angle. I just thought it'd be a fun project to see. Like we already have Zoom, and I use I'm Zoom administrator, so I thought, let's see if I can do this, right?
Yeah, bookings is an interesting way to tackle it, but it doesn't really like book the space out. It's just
it actually can. There's all kinds of weird Microsoft. There's
okay.
Somebody already did it for a bunch of things, just not for these particular spaces, but they've already done it, and I didn't realize bookings had grown so much and has all these new features that like last time I used bookings was probably 2 or 3 years ago. It was neat to see all the new things it can do.
Yeah, we set it up so people can, like the Zoom has a way like the calendar you can share out and you can put times you have available. So we have a lot of people who use bookings for that as well.
Cool.
And then we have like a hairstylist on site. So that's all handled via bookings, and we have a chiropractor and
wow, what a great place to work.
Yeah, you can get your hair cut, play basketball, get your back corrected after the basketball. And
I used to work
you
at
have to do work.
I used to work at a high tech place back in the day, and you could have people come to your desk and give you a massage, and they had a daycare on campus, and they had a lot of the stuff you're talking about. But that was quite some time ago.
My brother works at Google in Mountain View, and that's
Yeah,
he's happy to stay there all day.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. They don't want those people leaving. That's why they make it so nice. You don't want to go home, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Subsidized cafeterias and sleep pods, and yeah, it's amazing.
And it works.
Yeah, we have the opposite mentality, but we just like, if you want to, obviously, like on your break, you can play. There's a whole bunch of sports leagues and stuff, but yeah, we try to get people be there for your 9 hours, 8 hours of work, 1 hour of lunch, go home, back to your families.
That's smart. You don't want people burning out.
It's all about balance.
Hey, Ray, was there anything from events that from our webinar this past week, or Mike, you were there also, I apologize. Was there anything that jumped out at you about from that events, those announcements?
Yeah, nothing really huge for me. One of the things that Josh mentioned to me yesterday that I know a couple of my clients have asked about, on the registration page for Zoom events, there is an FAQ section at the bottom. They're now putting an FAQ section inside the lobby, which will, once you've registered and you're in and now you want to know stuff, you'll be able to go there and do that as well. One of the things internally, it's a small thing, but it's really big if you have to do this. And that is in the manage registrants area. Once you find someone who has registered and you have multiple ticket types available, if they registered for the wrong ticket type, you as the administrator can simply go to a pull down and change their ticket type easily. Where before you had to tell them, I'm going to kill your registration, you go back and register again. So yeah, that's a friction reducing effort right there.
Okay. Little fixes.
Have we talked at all about the acquisition of Bonsai?
Oh, I just saw that on the homepage. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened a few weeks ago, I think.
It was back in December, actually.
Oh,
but
was it? I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. It's been around a while, but it's been quiet. I'm actually looking at it, and you go to hellobonsai.com, and it's BONSAI. And it is really sort of a combination accounting, CRM, project management, time management for very small businesses. Their core organization has been solo to 10 people and that sort of thing. And I'm looking at it because I can get rid of QuickBooks. I can get rid of probably Calendly. I can get rid of Clockify. I can get rid of a couple of the things that I'm paying for. And for, a fairly small fee per month per person. I mean, there's only me now, but yeah, it's a money saving, but then having everything all in one place. And it has a bit of a CRM pipeline in it as well. Does proposals and tracks agreements and has forms and that sort of thing. I've asked for a free trial, and it denied me from having a free trial, I think because I'm a partner reseller. So they're trying to figure out, how do we enable this free trial for you so you can try it out?
Yeah, it does say you can try it for free up at the top. Anybody who's serious would at least want the essentials, because that's where you get invoicing and payments. Well, it looks very nice. Again, I have to, I don't mean to beat the dead horse, but I use Calendly, so maybe I'm overstepping here, but at this point, I would build something myself that really fit my needs.
But David, it's a Zoom product.
But it's a Zoom product.
Bonsai by Zoom.
Yes.
And to be able to use AI to go over and look in Bonsai, give me the top
That's true. Yes.
Customers tell me which meetings they've attended. If you can pull together all of that information in Zoom, to me, this is why Zoom is doing this, is to oh, you want AI without having to register for a whole bunch of external MCPs. We'll have all of your data in one place,
Right.
most of your data in one place, and be able to get to it and know that Zoom is doing its best to keep it all very secure.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Especially when you're dealing with payments and invoicing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, my friends, I think I'm going to pass this to Mike. Do we have a swoosh yet? Like a sound, or is it still just silent? Because that's just, now it's getting depressing, Mike, if I'm being honest.
So the expectation level in the kitchen is that it needs to be upscaled. So David also needs that too when he's going from his full screen to his side where he's also going to do a demo of his.
All right, hold on. I've got I'll do a sound. Okay, ready? I got a sound for you. Go ahead.
It didn't do it.
No, it didn't do it.
No, I know.
You kill me. I finally have a sound ready for you.
You need to have it in companion so that when you press it, the sound triggers automatically.
Yeah, I know. I have honestly, I have been working on that. I have been, but oh yeah, nice. Yeah, that would be nice.
That's what I got for you.
Yeah, I know. I know. And John's all confused. John doesn't usually come to the Zoom Test Kitchen, so he doesn't know what's going on. But yes. This is the banter that the co-hosts have all the time, John. Welcome to our world.
This is the best button I have on my Rodecaster right here. Go ahead and say something. Mike, go ahead and say something.
Go ahead and say something. Yeah.
1K tone.
That would be 1K tone. Yes, it would.
It's my sensor button.
It's just tone. It's from
it's a sensor button. Don't ruin my fun, Frank. It says sensor button on the button.
No, it says sensei button. You're kung fu every time you press that button.
That's what it is. Sensei button. Oh, my Lord. Oh, I didn't ever pass this to you, Mike. Sorry, I forgot.
That's all right.
Well, okay. I hope that next week I will come back and I will actually be able to say that Zoom approved my app like they approved John's. And we'll see. We'll see if that actually. Oh, here comes Hasmuk.
Yeah, David's leaving and Hasmuk's coming. He's coming to visit.
Perfect timing. All right, guys, have a lovely weekend. John, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I have to take off.
Oh my God, come anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was good to be on panel with you guys. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Take care, John. Come anytime. Very cool. As a lot of people just disappeared all of a sudden. We didn't finish the show yet, gang. Okay. All right, Tony, I think I did see a hand up again. Did you have another question, Tony? I'll throw it over to you, sir.
Yeah, I had my hand up, but I felt like we had moved on. So I was just kind of thinking about with all of these fantastic things that are coming up, core video and all of these new interfaces, and is the panel keeping their hardware and software updated on the regular, or are they just, when they're testing these new opportunities, or they just have one machine that they designate to play around with stuff?
All right. Which one? Who wants to take it first before I give my comments? Ray, you want to go for it?
I've got one machine that I bought in 2022 that I paid a fair sum for. It's an HP Z Tower. It's got a big Xeon processor and all that sort of stuff. And already there are things that in Zoom it can't do. If I want to do the fancy avatar, it's 10th generation and you need 11th generation CPU in order to do it, and blah, 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 blah. So the basic answer is I've got that machine I've got a B-Link that I bought for $300 several years ago that I use when I need two machines. I have a Mac that I don't use anymore. It's Intel and it's a 2014 version. And one of these days, if I'm making enough money, I might buy another Mac. But I'm refreshing when I have to, but I'm not keeping up to date.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Frank, give it maybe a little bit personal, maybe a little bit corporate.
I won't talk about myself. I'll talk about how professional people in broadcasting sort of, you have your production equipment that you don't mess with. You have your development or testing equipment or technology where you go and play and you make sure you understand how it works and the limitations before you bring it into real productions. And then you have machines that are aging out, and maybe you find some kind of menial task so you can get some residual value out of them. Like your Intel MacBook, there's a thing called Core OS for Mac that patches it so that it can run modern Mac operating systems. It installs some basically drivers and things that patch it enough that you can run the latest operating system. If the machine's just going to sit there and not do anything. But yeah, I don't know. That's sort of the approach. Like something that's going to be in live production, you make sure it's stable. You don't mess with it too much. If you want to introduce a new element, you do it on your development or test equipment. You make sure the proof of concept works the way you expect it to work, and then maybe introduce it into the live production. And then machines that are too old to do that anymore, you find some little menial task for them to do, or you sell them and try to recover some costs. But the one thing I'm worried about right now is like all the hard drives and all the RAM is spoken for the next 2 years. And I keep hearing from people who are, experts that a lot of equipment that's going to be released, including iPhones and other kinds of cell phones, may come with less RAM than they came with last year. Laptop makers are going to start releasing laptops with way less RAM on them, smaller hard drives. It feels like we're going to be in a drought for the next 2 years for technology, and you're going to pay way more for what you would have usually got in the last year or two. And they're saying that they're building a lot of fab plants, but they're not going to come online for 2 or 3 years. So it could be 2029 before prices come back down to something reasonable. So I think people will be looking to squeeze as much as they can out of their existing equipment for a few years because the prices are just going to be stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. All exactly what Frank said. And the only thing that I'll add from a PC point of view is PC parts is there's a bit of a paranoia right now, even within our own team here, that we're just hoping that we don't lose any hard drives or RAM at this particular point. Just because of the potential of if I have to buy a brand new hard drive, I'm getting pretty close, unfortunately, to buying a brand new PC. Even the B-Link that Ray was talking about, I'm getting pretty close to actually, it's actually going to get to the point of being cheaper for me to be buying already a pre-made PC than it is for me to build a PC, A, and B, even the mini PC, like the B-Link that Ray was talking about as well, I could actually get that for right now in Canada, pretty close to the same price, a lower end version of a B-Link equivalent, but I could get that pretty close to replacing one hard drive. So that's where, unfortunately, the market is when it comes to PCs. Mac is not inevitable in this too, because I did look at our local Canadian Costco to see what our infamous M4 Mac Minis are going up, and they've gone up $200 in Canadian dollars already. So we're starting to tickle the $1,000 for a Mac Mini here in Canada at a Costco. So where that used to be around 700 Canadian, 750 Canadian. So again, if you've got hardware, keep it, maintain it, hope it lasts long enough through this. And if you can, because that's also now getting to the point of too, especially in the video production world, if you're thinking video software switching, now it's actually becoming more advantageous to look at lower end hardware video switching, because now you actually buying a PC and actually buying a half decent video switcher hardware, yes, it would be only a hardware video switcher. But if that is really what all you're going to be using that PC for or Mac for is video switching, video software switching, now the price point is like where before it used to be quite different. Now they're really, really getting awful close. Frank.
The other thing that occurred to me, let's say you have really deep pockets. Let's say it doesn't cost isn't a factor for you. So let's say you want to buy a MacBook Pro with 48 gigs of RAM. They're saying that a lot of the manufacturers may not have those high-end configurations available because they don't, even if you can afford it, they don't want to put that much RAM into one computer. They want to have that RAM so they can sell lots of computers. So they may not even offer as many high-end configurations as you used to be able to get. So even if you could afford it, you may not be able to get a super maxed out computer, even though you're willing to pay for it. It just may not be possible to order it.
Yeah. And another venue that I've actually gone and looked at as well is recently refurbished PCs for us, more specifically. And again, this could also be done on the Mac world as well, where the Mac, for whatever reason, was a lemon when it was shipped out and it went back to Apple and now it's been recertified. Then that also is another avenue to go Mac-wise. And on the PC side, I've been looking at that, especially with the larger brands like Dell, Lenovo, and such. Go ahead, Frank, and HP.
Another thing I heard was, you know how you have a problem, because you mentioned it, you have a problem with a computer or some other electronics, and you want to get a return it, warranty work. A lot of the companies are saying, no, we don't. We'll just refund you the cost of your device. We're not going to fix it or give you another one. We'll just refund the cost, because they don't have any supply and they don't want to give up their valuable supply.
Yeah, it's all coming down to, honestly, Tony, parts. It's all coming down to parts. Be it parts that are going onto motherboards in the case of Macs and PCs, or in the PC world where everything is basically its own part before you actually attach it to the motherboard. It's all coming down to parts, unfortunately, more specifically. And again, and Ray brought up his HP Z model of workstation. Those are gorgeous machines. So the amount of horsepower for them, for me to get a refurb of an older Z HP model like Ray's got, again, I can get that refurb at a price of a hard drive right now.
Yeah,
and I'm
you know what?
a full PC.
I'm hoping that a lot of tech companies take this period in time and recognize that their customers are in this situation and make their code more efficient, so that hardware that isn't cutting edge, maybe older equipment like Ray's computer, if they could, streamline the code better and make it more efficient, maybe it wouldn't need as many resources, and then maybe the older equipment could still play a role in these things. But that would require them to make their code more efficient, right? Less resource dependent.
Yes, 100%. And again, of course, seeing the big differences even in between the Linux world and the Windows world. And I can't even talk about Mac but again, I could see it because of the Unix capabilities of Mac and the back end of Mac. The Linux world and the PC world, there's such a day and night situation between Linux and Windows, how much extra resources that Windows doesn't really need, but takes up compared to Linux is unbelievable. I can get Linux really, really, really thin. Like I've got an old, a perfect example. I've got an old laptop that I can't install Windows on right now because it's, Windows 10 would probably still barely work, but Windows 11, forget it. It's not allowed because it doesn't meet the Windows 11 criteria. It's running Linux. It's got everything on it. It doesn't even use half of the RAM that's in it. It's got like 16 gig of RAM. It's only using like 4. And that's when it's doing half decent, when it's doing actual large programs or pulling up large spreadsheets. It's only maybe using 3 or 4 gig of RAM. That's nothing. If I tried to do that in Windows, it would be easily eating up 10, 12, just because of how many cells and such are in some of these large spreadsheets that we do have here at the company, you know, as examples. So it's Frank's exactly right. So it comes down to that now coding has got to get more and more efficient, and so do operating systems. And we'll see over the coming months how things are changing. Already things are changing quite a bit, even in the browser world too. The hundreds of patches, well, not actual patches, but well, I guess they're patches, but they're not individual patches that you have to download. But if you've been noticing a lot lately that your browser is almost updating every other day, your Chrome or your Firefox or whatever, I know we've noticed it here at our offices. They are fixing stuff like crazy because there has been so many bug issues in the software that they've not even figured out yet, that AI is now actually helping them. And we've got our friend Leo coming in from the UK, so I'm just letting him in. That's why I had to pause there for a second. But yeah, Frank, you're 100% right. When it comes to code has got to get a lot more lean, mean. And unfortunately, we're going back to the days when it was lean and mean, where they've been allowed to be bloated for a lot of the time. And now it's going to get to the point where you're right. Because that 4 gig of RAM or that 8 gig of RAM that's in PCs is got to be able to handle not only just the operating system, you actually have to run something on it.
Well, it's just terrible. Like, Ray's computer is really powerful. It seems to me Zoom has been inefficient with their coding if he can't do all the things that he wants to do on such a powerful machine, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And again, I run
the
the
issue
Xeons
there,
too.
I think, is that they are using code that relies on the special instructions that were introduced later. And yeah, from my perspective, yeah, I mean, it just historically, they shouldn't really be doing that. But I understand then that some of those instructions make video processing much faster and that sort of stuff. I get that, but yeah.
I know that machine's got a good NVIDIA in it too, right?
Yeah, I've got a Quadro 5000.
Yeah, so it's got a Quattro. You know, it's not even using a GeForce; it's using a Quattro, which is a workstation, you know, made for CADs. You know, good old days of CAD drawing. Hello, Leo. We saw you there momentarily. Thanks for joining. Tony, did we answer your question? Any follow up too? Go ahead, Ray.
It's once you pop a balloon, it's hard to put the balloon back together. When and I've said this several times too, you know, I wrote my first computer program in 1970 in Fortran, and by 1980 I was working in COBOL in a shipyard in, you know, large format databases, and we encoded numbers in binary coded decimal. And for those of you that don't know what that is, you take 1 byte, which is 8 bits, and you put 1 digit in 4 bits of it and another digit in 4 bits of it. And so we used 3 bytes to hold a 5-digit zip code. Okay, you know, 2 digits in one, 2 digits in other, and 1 digit in the next. And that was before zip plus 4 came out. And when zip plus 4 came out, we went through all kinds of problems then, having to move database records around because all of these were hard formatted records. And, you know, how much more space was that going to take? It was going to take 2 more bytes. And so databases grew. And now it's like, well, I don't know. We're just going to encode everything as text. And oh, by the way, what is it? UTF-8 or whatever that is, UTM-8. It takes 2 bytes for every character
UTF-8.
now. Like, yeah. You know, we're not going to be able to, you know, stuff the sausage back in the casing or whatever. It's
Well, I think there's going to be sticker shock, like the PC industry. People, like, obviously, if your computer completely dies and your kid needs a laptop for school, you're going to buy one, but you're going to get such a crappy laptop now for the same money that you would have. A lot of people are just going to go, oh, I'm not buying anything for the next 2 years. I'm just going to stick with what I've got.
Same thing with cars and car prices. You know, you're paying 10 grand for a used car that before you wouldn't have paid 4 grand for.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair too. And I also threw up Pascal in chat too. I don't know if you were doing Pascal too back in those days.
Oh yeah.
Were you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I taught Pascal back when I was teaching.
There you go. So yeah, yeah. So when it comes to, yeah, Frank's right. When it comes to the actual sticker shock, it is a sticker shock, and even the places that were known to be cheap, aka Costco. Costco is going, nope, we're going up. Why? Because everybody else has to go up. They're still the cheapest. Don't get me wrong, but they're not cheap as they were 6 months ago, 9 months ago. No, not at all.
So, it doesn't completely answer Tony's question, but I mean, the approach about you have your production equipment, you have your test equipment, and then you have your equipment that's fading out. That's true, but if he's in, if he's in the market to buy new stuff, just either do it quickly or don't expect to get as much as you thought you would for your money.
Right. Right. And if you're budgeting now, make sure that your budget, if your budget was based on old numbers, you better pad that by, and you've got to figure out the X. Nobody really knows the X right now, but you better pad yourself.
But there's just going to be some technology things I'm not going to participate in for the next little while because, price.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely fair too, because it's yeah, again, just like I was saying, when it comes to our hard drive situation and our RAM situation, I don't want to I honestly don't want to hear from my employees right now that they tell me that they're either their hard drive is getting slow or they might be having problems with their hard drive. I don't want to hear that at all, because I'll probably have to giving them a brand new PC. When I mean by brand new PC, chances are it's going to be a refurb PC that was probably better than the original PC. But again, because it's going to be cheaper for me to get it as a refurb, fully done, fully ready to go, than it would be for me to actually buy. I would probably pay 2, if not 3 times the price.
Well,
and that's
I don't know if
getting
you've
scary.
registered for Zoomtopia yet, but I mean,
Yep.
I'm looking forward
What's
to
that?
seeing what their roadmap is. I mean, it'll be heavily AI, but
Yeah.
anything that demands your local computer have sufficient processing power, like, will be interesting to hear. I don't know if there'll be an emphasis on efficiency, but I hope there's some sort of, look towards that anyways.
Right. Right. And on top of that too, in Ray's situation, when you were talking about making your avatar Ray, this would not take many cycles for it to be made initially. Like if you just made the avatar, had it made in the cloud quickly, and then just brought it down, then you have it. Because right now they're utilizing your processor and such to actually generate it, correct?
Yeah, I assume so. I mean, the other bone that I pick often with Zoom is that I got some of my Zoomies to go, yeah, you just click on the create avatar button. So, well, where is it? Well, it's right here, and they send me a screenshot. No, it's not there. I don't even get a little grayed out button that if I click it, it says, I'm sorry, but your hardware doesn't even qualify. It just doesn't show up. And so, I ended up having to write a support ticket going, I'm looking for this, and why is it not there? And, a week later, somebody from support said, oh, we finally figured it out. And it's because your GPU or CPU is level 10 and not 11.
10th generation instead of 11th
10th
generation. Intel.
Yeah. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah. And you're right,
I'm
Ray.
looking at a $600 B-Link style Ryzen 7 with 32 gigs, for $600, which isn't really all that bad. I can get one with 16 and a Ryzen 5 for 300, a little more than 300. Little box about this big with USB ports and 2 display ports, and yeah, might have to go that route for some backup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what that's the example that I was giving Ray before, which is that those mini PCs, even though they came fully done for you, if you tried to buy each individual piece that's inside that B-Link or insert mini PC vendor here together, it's gonna cost you at least double for you
Yeah.
to make it yourself. And
Well,
that's being nice.
let's say you have a NAS or something. Let's say you get a five drive, RAID 5 or whatever NAS, and a drive or two fails. Buying the two new drives would cost as much as probably you paid for the whole thing the first time, right?
I wish not to comment due to the fact that that scares me every day too. Thanks, Frank. But yes, absolutely. 100%. He's not wrong. That's again, going back to my, right now, one of the hard drives that, for Ray was just talking the mini PC, one of the hard drives that we usually use in there is about $300 Canadian. One. So
Yeah.
if I'm replacing one, and hopefully I don't have two our NASs are a little bigger than a 6-bay, but again, that's where it starts to, and here's the other problem: availability of the hard drives. Now that's the other problem that we haven't talked about either, is that never mind if I want to buy it at the price that I want to buy it at, can I get it? Is the
No,
other
because the
scenario.
data centers are scooping up and pre-purchasing, like all the enterprise hard drive supply is already pre-purchased for the next 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I already know that, if I can find some, I get them, but I'm even looking at recertified drives now too, to be honest, just to get us through this until it comes down to a cost worthy situation again, where I can actually go, yeah, this was one of the recertified ones. Okay, good. It got me through the couple of years that I needed it to get done, because it was already, because recertified usually means that it's already had X amount of hours on the drive already. So, but again, usually it's recertified and there might have been something wrong with the platters or something within the actual physical hard drive and been replaced, but not the whole, it wasn't I'm not buying a brand new hard drive.
You're buying spinning hard
recertified.
drives instead of solid state?
Well, that's the other scenario too, is that if I went M.2, I'm even, I would have to change my whole NAS now to an M.2 NAS, or find retrofits where I'm retrofitting a 3.5 drive bay into an M.2, and then I have to make sure that the NAS understands it, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, but yeah, the M.2.
It's all Dave's fault. If he wasn't so excited about AI, we wouldn't have this gouging happening to us.
I know, and then we'll be right back. Picture is still going to haunt him tonight. He might have bad dreams. Leo, come on in from the UK. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, very well. Hopefully you can hear me.
We hear you
It's
fine.
very interesting, Mike, what you're talking about, and when things like this happen in the past, as a species, if that's the right way of saying it, we find ways to go around these problems. Sorry, someone's just done about 100 a lane. I wasn't clever, but hopefully the police will get him. Yeah, we find ways of getting around these by going in a different direction. And what I mean by that is, when there's scarcity, we find alternatives to do things that isn't to just find more of the same thing. Find an alternative way to get around this problem of space capacity.
Right. And that's why I'm saying that, instead of me going brand new, I'm going refurb instead for, in the realm of storage.
No,
go ahead.
I can understand.
Oh,
works actually for you to store them. I'm going to say on cloud, but I don't.
Yeah, Leo, try that again. You ran into cell issues there.
Yeah. Hold on, my headphones have just packed up. They've just died. I was going to say that you find a different way of storing things in different places, like on cloud or on other ways. I don't know it's going to be cloud, but I'm just thinking. things will drive prices in a different direction.
Yeah, no, you're right. And again, what we also have to, of course, we're Zoom Test Kitchen. Of course, what does that mean? Does that mean that we're allowing Zoom to store a lot more of our meetings? Maybe, because can we actually afford to have these meetings brought down to our local machines now, and we're storing them, right? Because again,
Yeah, exactly. Or are we going to use Zoom's processing power to create the avatars, or are we going to do other means to do things?
right,
Just don't know.
right. Oh, Leo's in that
Yeah, are
sales
we going to
spot.
go back
Go
to
ahead.
things that were, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about, what used to be cheap and what isn't cheap at the moment is things like, USB storage. USB discs were dirt cheap. There was you could get a 4 gig disc for next to nothing. I'm not saying that 4 gig is a lot, but it's maybe we'll be reutilizing stuff that we used to use, or the production of that will ramp up, and whoever produces that will make that cheaper.
Right. Yeah. Actually, Leo, that's not actually a bad suggestion. I've actually thrown that around a little bit too, where it's been more of, in our situation here at work. I can give a couple of quick examples. I can't talk about too many of them, but basically, some of the common ones would be, so if it's an important enough of a doc, maybe make sure it's in the cloud, because we do have cloud storage through the company, but also back it up to a USB stick, like you were saying. As long as it's not massively huge, here's a couple of 16 gig USB sticks, use them wisely, and, have it, do you need my IT department to automatically say, back up X folder on your hard drive to the USB stick every night and just leave the USB stick in every night? So be it. Then it's just a matter of setting up a little schedule script where basically Windows is going, okay, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Whatever's in this folder, check if that's the same on the USB stick. If not, put it over there.
What I don't know, Mike, have the prices of USB sticks gone up as well?
I know, well, my answer to that is what I'm seeing now. Again, taking into consideration the Canadian market, because that's where Frank and I are. So when it comes to the USB sticks, a little bit, but again, they can't really go massive. Like it would not make sense for like a 16 gig stick to be like $32 or $48 Canadian, because that would be just like, they're never going to sell them ever again. It's bad enough that the hard drives are going almost 2x, 3x, but for them to 2x or 3x a USB stick, it gets to the point of being no, right? So they're
also,
making incremental. They're affected too, because it's again, in the end, it's still the chip on the actual. Now they use different chips on the USB sticks, but it's still the same ish, without getting into too much of the weeds technology. Go ahead, Leo. And then
I mean,
I'll let Frank
yeah, I mean, the question is, if you actually analyze what you have on, I mean, a NAS is different, so I'm not trying to do a comparison. But if you look at what our laptop was traditionally, a 512 gig hard disk on a machine, what it's being used for, 70% of that is the same as on every other machine in the building. And when you sit there and you go, well, actually, 10 gig network cards are now cheaper than other things. Is our solution going to be just a different solution?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well,
do I make any sense? I'm not sure.
That does make sense. And actually, what I'm actually noticing a lot more too, and Frank's does have an update for us about the flash drive. So Frank, we'll come to you momentarily, and I'll just finish my thought. What I am starting to do now more is machines that can actually handle it. is I am starting to go back to the old days, and Ray will probably know about this. Frank, you might remember this too, of setting up RAM drives.
Yep.
So
when you said the old days, I thought you really meant the old days. I thought you meant, when we all used to work on terminals, programming.
Well, again, this is where Microsoft does want everybody to do, is they basically want to be able to everybody to have a dumb terminal, and it be a Microsoft dumb terminal that you can just do Office and Office 365 on, and they want you to be able to connect up to the cloud. Yes. Frank, give Leo an update what you were able to find out about USB sticks.
So the price of USB flash drives has already spiked significantly, and it's expected to remain high all through 2027. So everything that has NAND flash memory, the price is going up. So flash drives, SD cards, SSDs have surged by over 100% on average.
Is it just, Frank? Is it a supply and demand issue? Is it just?
It is.
And can that be met by opening new?
It can be, and that's happening. They're spending hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars building new capabilities, but it takes 2 years or more for those kind of factories to. So even if they started, a year ago, it's still going to be a year or two before these things come online.
Sure. I mean, this is like the D2A converter problem we had when all the factories burnt down in 2021 or whatever it was. I can't remember. But what's happening is that we're just going from one crisis to another. I don't know what electricity prices are like in Canada, and they just keep that nothing. Anything that ever goes up never comes down.
Right. Yeah. We're not hit as bad as you guys are in the UK, as far as Canada is concerned. US, depending on where you are, would be my answer. Julie, I don't know if you know anything about the hydro stuff when it comes to power. Are you paying more for power in Texas? She sneezes and she'll unmute and answer us here momentarily.
Okay. I think a little bit we are paying more.
So you are paying more in Texas for power than you guys are paying before. Yeah. So Canada's not as bad. We are keeping up with our power requirements, and we're even powering some of the states right now. So we do have access, and I use that with quotation marks because it's not really access, but it is, but it's not power that we do offer our Americans. So there are a couple of states that we supplement their power in the U.S., but and we're adding more power here because
I don't think
we're
it's
going to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, the cost of electricity in the UK is artificial. It's being created because of global issues, including the Strait of Hormuz and all that sort of stuff. Right. But we don't have the funny thing is we actually are generating more electricity, green, whatever you want to call it, than we ever did. And we've ramped that up massively, but our prices are actually tethered to the price of gas. So as long as gas stays high, electricity is artificially high. However, that wasn't. I'm just giving that as a context. But more on my question is like if RAM and hard disks prices are going up, going back to what Frank was saying, how do they re-engineer software to pool or use things? And we all went through this a million years ago when we had to pre-execute our code and we did lots of things. We just got too lazy, and we just need to tighten Titan. This, as I say, a half a terabyte hard disk on most laptops. There's nothing. There's less than 3% or 4% of it that is unique. It's all duplicates or empty.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. And right now too, I can give you a couple examples on the Linux side, which just will freak people out, is that I have no problem firing up a Linux PC with a 256 gig hard drive SSD. It, if you're lucky, will do maybe 100 gig, maybe, of space, maybe. And that's a really bloated, what we would call a bloated Linux install, which means I've installed a lot of software because I just wanted to and such. And even then, it's been, I've had lots of drive space on a 256 gig, 256 gig SSD or hard drive without any issues. But again, if I tried to put Windows on it, I would be fearful, because then all of a sudden I'm now concerned that, yeah, I'm pushing maybe a good 150 gig, again, depending on my Windows install. Everything is all relative here, what I'm installing. But comfortably, if I've got about 150 gig of just the operating system on the hard drive, I've got only 100 left. So thanks, Tony. Take care. Have a great weekend. Great questions. And so it really comes down to, Leo, like you were saying, in the regards of, a lot of the developers have gotten lazy. Yes. And that goes back to what Frank was saying too, that we have to start tightening up that code, going, are we duplicating situations where we could actually take that duplication out and actually send the logic back to the same location, because we have that logic in there 5 times. Can we actually have the other 4 go back to the original place and have that logic and then just spawn out differently? Yes, is probably the answer. That there's probably a lot of that exists out there. And AI is definitely looking at the code now. Google has their own internal stuff. I'm pretty sure Meta probably is doing that too. When it comes to, what else do I know? There was another company. Well, I know even just with Claude alone, Anthropic. Yes. So it was Anthropic. Yeah, there we go. So Anthropic alone has that new AI LLM that they can't part with right now, but they've given it to certain companies right now because it's gone through their code, because there's so many holes in their code that need to be patched now. Because if they if Anthropic releases that LLM to the world, then the hackers of the world will have access to that and go, okay, Chrome, is there any vulnerabilities in Chrome? Let me know. And guess who that affects? Chrome, Edge, anything with a Chromium backend, including what we're using right now, everybody, Zoom. So, so that's why Anthropic has been stopped to have that out there. But again, the amount of bugs, let's call them bugs, not fixes, because fixes and patches are start getting down that you're downloading file, you're down thing. What they're actually doing is they're finding bugs. Let's call them all bugs. But the bugs have been in the hundreds every time they've been actually doing small upgrades. So, and this is all being found by AI. Their special LLM that they've actually made that uses a conglomeration of multiple LLMs to actually get the job done, to find all the bugs. Perfect example is I've used FFmpeg for decades, and FFmpeg was one of the big ones that was actually found to have that problem. So you are best to be on the latest version of FFmpeg, and it's good to hear that John mentioned FFmpeg earlier, because again, OBS found out about this too. So because OBS relies heavily on FFmpeg as well, they're now making sure that they're on the latest version too, because indirectly, OBS, the main code of OBS might not have had a problem, but FFmpeg did. And because they use FFmpeg to actually send out all the encoded and decoded feeds, it had holes in it. So they had to automatically get up to the latest version of that. So that's why John was making small modifications recently with before he actually released his latest version of his module. Leo, did you
Yeah,
catch
yeah,
that a little bit?
yeah. I did. What I was going
Good.
to come back on, you reminded me of something. Is so I can't remember which version of Windows had it. They came out with this disk software that was they managed to like double size the disk. Do you ever remember what it was what it was
Oh,
called?
well, I was going to say you're taking me way back, but that's back in the floppy days. I remember doing that with a floppy.
Yeah, no, but yeah. Well, first of all, they did that. They high density the floppy disk because
Yeah,
they couldn't get
right,
enough space. So there
right.
was a
So
way of solving the problem of doubling the space on the same size. So I'm wondering, but they then did something, and they got there was a company I can't remember that did something that they put something on your. You basically compressed your hard disk and then you
right.
remounted it as a second disk. I can't remember what it was called. It's so long ago now.
I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about too. And again, there is there is settings that
Yeah,
Windows doesn't promote anymore that you can actually compress
yeah,
certain
exactly.
folders if you wanted
But
to, and
exactly.
it's
So
built
that's
in. But
that's my point. My point is that also, I mean, the worst thing, Mike, is the worst thing on my experience is the Windows Update folders and some of I think it's called SIS. I can't remember if it is or something. I can't remember the name. And the muck it just chucks on because you may have one day in your life had a LaserJet 2 printer. So I'm going to give you a copy of something that just in case that you've got
yep.
it. And
Oh yeah.
all of that stuff has just got to be, it's almost like they've got to say, do you know what? A PC from this generation, we have got to stop supporting all of this, and we can cut the size of Windows 12 will install in a fraction of the size, but it will not support any of this and this. We're giving up because of the world shortage of hardware or whatever it is.
Right, right. And Leo, you're bringing up the perfect world of Linux, and I'll give you an example of Linux. Is that as an example, is that Linux will only during the installation process install the drivers that it needs, full stop.
Yeah,
So
of
that
course it will.
as a perfect example. So that in itself could save you 10 gig, 5 gig maybe of driver space because Windows doesn't know any better that you could actually have any device hook up to your machine at any time. Where Linux goes, oh, you installed this? Oh, I don't have it. I'll go get it. I'll download it. I'll install it. Now you can use it. But until that point, I didn't care if you had this brand of X ever plugged in this machine ever. Right?
Yeah.
So that's Linux being smart in that world. And that is sort of the early days of Windows. If you remember back in the day when you did a Windows install, you had to have all your floppies that had all the drivers on it, right? If you really go back with me, 20-ish years ago, everybody, yes, I know we're going back. But back in those days, I remember doing servers all the time. And anytime I actually had to install the Windows Server OS on the machine, I had to have a floppy disk that had all the drivers on it. And then I had to, during the installation, go, oh, and it did an auto detect, which was really, really small auto detect that it had a library of next to nothing. And then basically said a button that said have disk. Then I had to put in the floppy or CD into the machine. And then it actually took the driver off of the floppy. You had to go find it and tell Windows where it was and then have it install. You got to remember, this is even way back in the early days of the internet.
So the point there, Mike, bringing this around, and as I said, it's one of the things when you did all of the stuff you're talking about is your access to everything was quite slow because you had a 10 meg network card or token ring or whatever you want to do, however far back you want to go. Now a 10 gig network card is around about, I'm going to say about 40 to $50, that sort of price point. for a 10 gig card. What we're missing is network switches at 10 gig are still pricey. That price is still high. But this could be the opportunity that they go down massively in price overnight. And this whole memory issue and hard disk issue evaporates because we find another way to hold, as you say, you basically are holding what you need on the machine, and then you're just swapping out. So suddenly you can run a machine on 128 gig hot NVMe disk rather than needing to buy 10 machines each with 1 terabyte, which you never use, which is just full of junk.
Right.
That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts.
That's right. And that's sort of getting back to the days that you were saying where they were I would call them dumb terminals on steroids.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't, my life started on Vaxes and HP 3000s, which were all dumb terminals. But okay, why am I bringing this up? Why? When we are presented with a problem, the human race is very good at finding solutions that are just straight out of the box. Zoom, or sorry, straight not out of the box, from the left field. Zoom is a prime example of we've had a problem, we didn't know about it ever. Well, look at this solution we found. It's called Zoom. We didn't even know we had the problem in 2018, and now we have this solution. And that's where the world's got to keep going, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm packing a car for a live event, so.
Very cool. Very cool.
So some of this stuff, maybe we'll end up with different ways of running. What's the processing power you need on your PC to run Zoom? What bits of it can they offset to somewhere else? What bits do we actually have to say we're going to tune in a different way because of this memory constraint, because of the disk size, because of all of these other things? Maybe we're going to get a super new compressed version of MP4 that's even better than what we get at the moment. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just speculating.
Yeah. No. Again. Yeah. Again, Leo's bringing up different protocols and such. Yeah. Absolutely. and the best example I can give you on this too is that I can vouch right now that I need less resources using Zoom Workplace on Linux than I do on Windows.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. But I'm gonna sound but Linux isn't just. I don't know. This is. We've been having this discussion for a long time. When Linux works is when you turn it into something like Mac OS and you hide it and you make it into a pretty operating system. When that is Linux working in a good environment.
Right. Which again, that's fair. But again, there is, unfortunately, and again, this is becoming more and more prevalent now, is that because of the RAM shortage and the hard drive space shortage and the frustration of Windows making sure that you are now going to have AI local on your machine. So they're already going after we're going to put AI in your machine. We're just not telling you when again. And that's going to happen again. And so you can run your local copy of, I'm not going to go as far as saying your local copy of an LLM on AI, but in theory, in the very beginning, that was their dream, is that everybody has their own local copy of an LLM. And then if that LLM is dumb enough that it needs more resources, then it goes to the cloud. Then it uses the cloud in conjunction with the local LLM to get you your answer. That was their big brain thought in the very, very beginning when they launched all that stuff. That is still there. They still haven't given up on that, but they got pushed back big time because of nobody's buying NPUs. So a lot of new systems have NPUs in them, but again, because of the chip shortage and the processors and RAM and CPU and hard drives all going to the actual AI servers, Now the
Yeah.
Dells, Lenovo's, and such are starting to go, well, Microsoft, hold on now. I'm having problems getting NPUs, which again stands for the so we all have CPU, GPU, and NPU. Right now, majority
What's an
PC.
NPU? Well, sorry, I've
Yeah,
never
so
heard
the
of an NPU.
yeah, so the NPU is actually going to be where the LLM uses that processing power. So it goes away from your graphic card. Right now, if you're running a local AI LLM, it's going to go after your NVIDIA card. For the most
Yeah.
part, it's going to go after your GPU. Well, what they've come up with is an NPU, and I'm not sure what the N stands for, but basically it's processing unit again. And basically, and what it's gonna do now is that the LLM will use it instead of the GPU and CPU to get, and the RAM on the NPU to actually do all your queries for you. So it will be a third processor unit on a PC. Usually it's within the actual main die of the CPU right now. I don't know if they're going to plan to actually make an NPU chip or not. I don't know enough about the NPUs right now. And it's so new right now that a lot that I've seen right now is on the CPU right now, where they've designated a part of the die of the actual CPU itself to have the NPU on it. And that will be, so basically if you have an NPU based machine right now and you're not telling you haven't downloaded an AI LLM, or there's not AI LLM capabilities in the software that you're using that could actually utilize your local machine as compared to the cloud, then it's probably not even doing anything. It's there, but it's probably, for lack of terminology, dormant in the regards of, if you're not sending anything to the GPU, the same thing, right? It's sitting there doing nothing in the realm of graphics being graphics. But if you're not having anything severely hard graphic wise going towards it, then it's not actually going to do any real processing per se. It's just sort of passing everything through. Does that make sense, Leo? I was trying to bring that down to a very non-technical. There's more to it than that, but basically,
Yeah, it does. It does, Mike. I mean, I think it's just. Yeah, I think we're on the same line. I think, I suspect that the problem of hard disk space and memory will be solved not by increasing the amount of production of hard disk space and memory. It'll get solved in a different way. I know I'm speculating. It's just that's how things always seem to be, because you suddenly find better ways of doing things, or whatever that is, or not, not chucking the same amount at it'll just be, it'll just go in a different direction. And it may be what you've just said is that you put a different type of processor in, and suddenly the machine responds and acts in a different way, and it doesn't require a huge, I mean, the Apple and their M chipset completely changed the way we thought of CPUs and graphics cards.
right, where they really took it to that next level of, the die, it's all in within the die of the actual main chip. So if they were able to, again, this is where Intel is going, this is where AMD is going. So they're definitely the two that are going down that road. ARM is also going down there as well. So again, with ARM, it's a good thing, especially for power conscious consumers such as you guys in the UK. ARM processors, of course, use less power than Intel's and AMD's. So there's rumors that ARM chips, while I already know that there's an operating system that will work on ARM for Windows, but again, the abundance of getting an ARM PC is not doing well right now, because again, we're all in this kerfuffle too, and ARM's in there knee deep in this too, where they're affected as well. So there's not really any of the chip manufacturers, memory or CPU wise or GPU or NPU or space wise, is in SSD space, that are not all affected by this because everybody's buying up whatever they can. And when I mean by everybody, I mean all the AI companies that are starting that need all the components so that they can actually run things in the data centers. And of course, Canada is also doing a big push too, where we're bringing in a lot of potential people that actually want to be able to do AI data centers. So we're building actually brand new AI data centers in Canada as well. So, and we're targeting those companies to look at Canada to go, okay, because we've got the physical location, we've got the power requirements, we've got the physical location, we've got the internet stuff. So it's a matter of you just bringing the gear, and we'll have the building here waiting for you. So that's where that's going to.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's fascinating how these things change, and what will be. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to go around again, and I think that's it. You know, whatever you think is the current, how it's going to be done in 10 years' time, you will just everything will just be another way of doing it, and we'll have moved around again.
Yeah. And the best way to signal this off as we shut this down for this week is that, do you remember back in 2026 when we were doing finish the sentence, right?
Yeah.
And
I'll have to remember what that thing is that they did, whatever you did to your disk to make double the size of your hard disk on a Windows machine.
Yeah, all I remember is back in the days, and again, I'm going to show my age so everybody will freak out, is my Commodore 64. I had to get out my nibble notcher so that I can actually flip the disk over and actually use the other side.
Yeah, you did. Did you have a disk drive on your Commodore 64? I didn't.
I did indeed. I had a 1541 5 1/4 inch floppy drive.
Yeah, we all had similar stuff back in the days.
Yeah, I was not the cassette guy. That was more my.
I know my Commodore 64 had a cassette.
Yeah, it was the same Commodore cassette that I could have used for the 64, but I was lucky because when I actually ended up getting it, and again, I was very young, my parents ended up getting it for me. But again, the 1541 had probably come out within the year or two. So I actually had the capabilities of going 15, the actual 5 1/4 floppy. And I even remember that we had in our high school, that's all we had was Commodore 64s. So we actually had a computer lab of all Commodore 64s, and they all had the floppy drives. Back in the day, where maybe we should go back to basic. What do you think, Leo?
Basic.
No.
I don't. Well, I mean, to me, you know, as I will absolutely 100% say I am an ex-programmer. As in, I used to be able to program. I've long since lost the skills of programming languages.
That's not fair. You've still got the mainframe.
I've got it. I've gone. I haven't programmed. You know, I did lots of languages which have all long since gone. But that's how it was.
Did you hear Ray talking about COBOL? And I brought a Pascal.
COBOL, Fortran, Pascal.
Fortran,
I programmed in COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, Mantis, Powerhouse. I can't remember. They seem they're all the ones I did at one time or another that I can think of. Most of those have long since disappeared down there.
Well, I actually know some people that are actually still programming in COBOL and Pascal, that because there's still some legacy systems out there that need it. Well, because they're too paranoid to get rid of that gear.
Yeah, funny enough, they are, but that will be one of those things that the AI will be able to say, take this program and completely rewrite it including the bugs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. I can imagine that AI probably easily could do COBOL right now if it needed to do COBOL and Pascal, just because of the legacy of it being around so long ago that it
Well,
probably has
also,
already got it.
it was also very. It was actually also, from memory, it was also very clean. You know, we kept our code clean. We documented. We did everything. You know. Yeah. When I was working on VAX VMSs and all that, and we kept it all good. But anyway, that's beside the point. This is nothing to do with Zoom. Nothing to do with Zoom.
But yet it does because again, Zoom wouldn't be around if there wasn't those Pascal and Fortran machines back in those days. So that's where I'll segue to that.
I think what's the hard bit for them is you know, the whole problem of any technology is that standing still is going backwards, and you know, and there's some really nice features. I hated it when I first saw it, which is Zoom giving me the synopsis email every time I have a meeting, but it draws you into wanting to have every meeting in Zoom because you're sitting there going, I don't want a meeting in something else that doesn't do that anymore because it's horrible. I've got to write notes. You know, it's brilliant. It saves me having to do all of that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you caught the beginning. So we had John on, just to recap for everybody that has joined us late. John came on and actually showed us core video. Then right after John left, or John actually stayed with us majority of the time, but Josh also showed up from Zoom Events and actually was talking about Zoom slides.
John? Sorry, I missed that. Which John did you have on?
Oh, John was on from core video.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So he showed off his core video plugin for OBS.
Okay.
So that was on. And then right after that with John, then Josh Bragg came on. Zoomy Josh Bragg came to the show and said, guys, I found some cool capabilities using Zoom slides. So he did a quick demo of Zoom slides and how easy it is to integrate Zoom slides into a Zoom meeting, first off, and how easy it was to have the controls and how they have a pop-out window so that you can actually have your notes in the teleprompter if you wanted to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you did join us late, do check us out. That was probably within the first hour and a half of our 3-hour wonderful show, 3 hours and 5 minutes, Leo. And it's about time, Leo, that everybody does karaoke. It's karaoke time, Leo.
Yeah. Okay. No, not for me.
Not for you.
No, banned. I'm not allowed to sing. It's a company policy that's written that I'm not allowed to sing. So,
excellent.
I could say a story. No, it doesn't matter. Good. Thank you, cool. Mike. This has been very interesting.
Yeah. Take care, Leo. Good luck with your gig. Okay. Is it tonight or is it tomorrow? The gig?
No, it's tomorrow afternoon.
That's right. Yeah, you were 5 hours ahead. That's right. You're 11 o'clock. So yeah.
I needed to pick some stuff up so I didn't have to do it tomorrow morning early and have everything ready for the event.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah. So break a leg tomorrow, sir.
Okay.
And it's time.
Thank you.
Take care there. And it's time for everybody to enjoy their weekly me karaoke time. Let's hear ya.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on if your meetings lag or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions. We'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back. No We're the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back. No
All right, we did not wreck. Zoom Test Kitchen community. That's awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us this week, and we want to thank John for showing us core video, and we want to thank Josh Bragg from Zoom, our resident Zoom events guy, that is the guy to chat with if you have any questions when it comes to Zoom events. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that will let YouTube know and Zoom know how much you love our content. We're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. So do check your local time zone to match up to those times. All right. From everyone here at the Zoom Test Kitchen, have a great weekend. Have a great week. And we'll see you here next week for another edition of the Zoom Test Kitchen. Take care, everyone, on YouTube. And we're heading to the Zoom Lounge.